Everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from F.A.O. Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7. 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You take a test where you're taking cocaine or not? What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? His campaign says it's launching the largest presidential TV ad buy ever.
Biden today revealing he won't travel to Milwaukee to accept the nomination.
Joe Biden will not travel to this month's Democratic National Convention.
The healthiest thing we can do is just ignore this and pretend it doesn't exist.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law.
I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Miss Yates, when did you first become aware that the Obama administration was surveilling the Donald Trump campaign?
The FISA application was for Carter Page, who was a former member of the Trump campaign. The Russians had made the overture that they wanted to be able to assist the Trump campaign.
Now, hold on, you said it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign.
I said that he was not a member of the Trump campaign.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
We have another full house with the VIPs. They're all there. You know who's not all there? Joe Biden. Trump is just saying it now. He's not trying to explain it. He just goes out there. He was on the tarmac today, landed in Cleveland, and he said Joe Biden is not all there.
The fact is that I don't remember.
And it is clear that he is not all there. And he said something today, or was the videotape was released, or as he would call it, a telephone call was released. And he basically slurred black people again today. And I was thinking, who was it who talked about the liberals and the soft bigotry of low expectations? That's sort of what Joe Biden is all about. You know, poor kids can be just as smart as white kids. You know what? Oh, was that George Bush? George W. Bush said that. And you know, then asking the black reporter yesterday, are you a junkie? And if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And then today we have this latest one here.
So they were both from the same interview. He said those both in the same 1 hour span.
But I mean, just listen to this when you hear it. I mean, if you haven't heard it yet, it takes a little while for it to sink in. But basically, he's just saying once again that blacks are just a monolith. There is no differences of opinion on the Democrat Party plantation as far as he's concerned. It's just all one. And as opposed to the Hispanic community, which they're just like people, is basically what he's saying. They have all different views. They have all different kinds of views. So here it is. This is the sound cut of the day from Joe Biden.
By the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Unlike African-Americans, Latinos are a diverse community. Whereas all blacks think alike. Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, they all think alike. Wow. 844-500-4242. There's so much stuff here. Let's start cut 5. Let's play cut 5. Again, this is he's talking to the black and Hispanic journalists here. And this was recorded, I guess, yesterday, and they gave us that tease yesterday where he called the black reporter for CBS a junkie and asked him if he was on cocaine. But so then this was the rest of it today, 5.
And so the practice is that the way he talks about the vaccine.
So the practice is, never let the practice get in the way of a good story. That's what we used to say at the old Herald American City Room. Practice. Okay. Let's see here. Cut 2.
But if he continues to walk away, wave the white flag, and just say open, and then listen to some quacks telling him that what we should be doing, and you can, cause COVID-19. The whole thing is he's got to be more responsible. So it depends on what I inherit to determine what I'll be able to do and say and should be saying on the day I sworn in, if that in fact happens.
Mass cause cancer. I mean COVID-19. At least he got the number right this time.
He almost didn't. If you listened, he said COVID-19.
The one from Wuhan? Wuhan? The one that's even worse than N1H1? Oh, no, H1N1? Now, this one you can file under even a broken clock is right twice a day. He didn't even know what he was saying, but he told the truth here. Cut 6.
They should have access to what everybody else has access to.
This
Most
is
important
every
thing to
undocumented
do.
worker?
No, it depends. Not all undocumented workers are working.
How many times have I said that? How many times have you said that yourself when you hear about some undocumented worker selling fentanyl to somebody or driving drunk without a license and killing some nuns? That is the most cogent statement that he has made all campaign. Not all undocumented workers are working. Let's have a Washington Post fact check on that one. 0 Pinocchios for that one. That was a truthful statement. 844-500-4242. Cut 10.
What happened was I came back, had a good job, decided to leave and become a public defender. And I used to interview my clients down by the railroad station. And here I was 40 years ago, later to the month, standing on that same railroad station, waiting for a black man to come and pick me up to take me to Washington, D.C., to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States.
And that's Uncle Joe, he's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Petticoat Junction.
Is that what they call the train station in Wilmington, Petticoat Junction? Is that where he met? Is that where he met his clients, at Petticoat Junction? And who knew that Barack Obama drove him down 95 to D.C. from Wilmington, Delaware? And then he was sworn in as president and vice president. Lyndon Johnson, when he was elected vice president, he wanted to remain Senate Majority Leader, and they told him that that wouldn't fly under the Constitution. But I guess Joe Biden was sworn in as not as president, as vice president and Senate Majority Leader, but president and vice president. Okay. All right. So he's speaking to blacks and Hispanics, journalists. And so being a good Democrat, he has to pander. So he's going to give a special program that's only going to be available for blacks and Hispanics. Not for Indians, not for Asian Americans, not for Inuits, not for honkies, not even for Welsh coal miners. Just blacks and Hispanics. Cut 11.
Take a look at my Build Back Better plan, which you probably haven't had a chance to read. It does all the things that Asheville just did. It provides for a down payment, first-time down payment of $15,000 for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans seeking housing.
What if it's a black person married to a white person? Do you only get $7,500 in that point? How do you sort all these things out? All right. What else have we got here? Okay, now this is the thing where, he said last week, Trump just asked you to, if you wanted to, what did he say, inject bleach or drink bleach? Swallow bleach. Okay, so today he's again come up with a quote from Donald Trump that he never said. Cut 9.
Think about this. Did you ever think you'd live in a country where you had a president of the United States saying, let's postpone an election?
Can we have a citation on that one, Mr. Vice President? Can we? Can you give us a quote? When did this happen? Is there a link you could send all of us here in the press pool so we could see that and put it on our reports this evening? 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games.
And, it's said often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday.
My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got 2 beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice. I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon.
Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial offender like him to be running around unsupervised.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is The Howie Carr Show.
What I said was that if, in fact, they are as obstreperous as is expected, we'd have to get rid of the filibuster.
Obstreperous. I guess that's close. Maybe he actually did get that one right. But if I'm Joe's people, I'm telling them, don't use words like obstreperous. You're just gonna get into big trouble. No more than 2 syllables max. 844-500-4242. Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars, of which I'm one, after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at Genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Was the U.S. right to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima?
Yes, or Hiroshima, depending on what part of Japan you're from, I guess. Yes. It saved millions of Japanese lives, and it saved probably close to 1 million American lives.
97% say yes.
Yeah. I don't think there's too much controversy about that outside the Democrat National Convention in Milwaukee. They probably want some reparations paid to the Japanese. 844-500-4242. He also did an appearance today in a Hunter Green Corvette Stingray. And Hunter Green, you can't make this stuff up. If I see someone named Biden, if I'm a cop and I see someone named Biden in a Hunter Green car of any sort, I think I have probable cause.
I'm grabbing the evidence bag. Yeah,
I'm going into the trunk. I'm going under the front seat to check out to see what's in there. If it's Hunter Green, if you know what I mean. But anyway, here he is. Here, cut 15.
I like to drive. I used to think I was a pretty good driver.
You're scared of Joe Biden being president? How would you like to go for a drive with Joe Biden? No. These are the kind of people that he's 92. He was driving to the doctor for his appointment. It was a half a mile from the old folks' home, and he showed up 5 days later in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's Joe. I wouldn't really trust Joe to go down the street in a car. So here's Joe behind the wheel of his Hunter Green Vet. Cut 16.
The thing I like most is the setup right here. And you feel like you're in complete control. This is just boom.
Feel like I'm in control. I haven't been in control since 1974. 5. 17, cut 17.
This is iconic industry. How can American-made vehicles no longer be out there?
Those birds keep following him everywhere. Lord. It's like the family's cursed by barn owls and Canada geese.
This is like a rerun of The Birds. Who is he? What was her name? Tippi Hedren? He's the new Tippi Hedren, the male version. Or maybe, or you're right, maybe it's the barnyard owl that was chasing Hunter Biden around out in the desert in Vegas. Good Lord. Those American cars are no longer out on the road. When did we all go back to riding around on donkeys and mules? Cassandra, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Cassandra.
Howie. Joe said seeking housing. I thought that was the oddest way to mention someone buying a home. Isn't that what usually people do? But I think he can't get the idea. He can't elevate blacks out of Section 8 housing. You know, he can't bring them up to our level of buying a home.
Yeah, you know, it really is. We're going to put together just a reel of sort of the slurs, the soft bigotry of low expectations from Joe Biden, because that's what it is. I mean, he just and the whole thing about remember Obama is he's the first articulate, clean black candidate. It's a storybook, man. That's what he said. He just and you know he didn't. And then when they were integrating the schools, he said he didn't want his kids going into he called it a racial jungle. Unfortunately, they can't find that clip. It's just the audio clip. It's just in the it's in the newspaper files. But it would be nice to have that clip. Thanks for the call, Cassandra. Chris, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Chris.
Interesting question I have is, has there been any other president that's been senile besides Joe Biden?
Well, he's not the president yet, but they said that Reagan slipped a little bit in his last term after he was in his late 70s. I mean, he was much younger than Biden would be, and but he got shot at the age of I think like 74, 75, which again is younger than Biden, and it took a lot out of him. 71, he was 71 when he got shot. Yeah, 1980 he got shot. Right, he got shot 81 he got shot. And so, no, I don't think there have been disabled presidents. We were just talking with the VIPs about Woodrow Wilson had a stroke in his second term, and he was basically rendered unable to operate. I don't know if he could speak or not, or I think it was a Joe Kennedy thing. He couldn't speak, so his wife was basically the president, and I think that's the closest thing we would have to a Joe Biden. But they didn't have a 25th Amendment then. You know, I'm sure that if you asked Joe Biden what the 25th Amendment was, he would have no clue what it was. Which after what they tried to put Trump through with Rosenstein and the rest of them wearing a wire and all that, I mean, everybody who pays attention now knows what the 25th Amendment was. But again, Joe, I would bet that he has no clue about that or anything else. Thanks for the call, Chris. Dave, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
Howie, you're talking about that interview that Joe Biden was speaking about the Latinos and the black community. And
right.
I'll tell you, how would you like to be his handler? Because when he went off script like he always does, I swear he looked at someone behind the camera and they must have been waving their hands in the air because he got right back on topic. And
I don't know. You know, I think waving your hands in the air in front of Joe Biden, I think that would lead to even a worse meltdown, wouldn't it? Don't you have to be kind, and you can't throw the net over him like like we always say they do. You know, when people go out of control. I don't know. 413 says the guy who wants to do away with the fossil fuel industry is now somewhat worried about American cars on the road. Yeah, he is. I'm Howie Carr.
The last few months have been stressful for many, and it's time to do something for yourself. Recently, Grace reminded me of when I had that bad haircut 4 years ago. It was actually more like a buzz cut. Although it wasn't planned, I'm incredibly grateful to DiStefano Hair Restoration. Everyone was able to see that my hair could really grow back. I was annoyed when I couldn't get a haircut because of the shutdown, but I am happy that I at least have hair to cut once more. You can have the hair you've been thinking about for all these years. Dr. Highness did a great job for me, and he will for you too. To learn more, go to hairman.com. You may have more time on your hands now, so take advantage of it and get the hair you've been wanting for years. People always stop me and say, it looks so natural. DiStefano Hair Restoration has 5 locations in New England and is open for business. For more information on location openings, go to hairman.com. Get the hair you've always wanted.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte because after the Obar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with he was just there, as the Michel Casson, Patch's date said, he was just there, without trousers, or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number 1. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were 2. Number 1, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios,
And I spent an hour and a half today on the telephone. I mean, on what we're doing right now on camera.
I was talking to some birds out in the backyard. They follow me around wherever I go. Those birds. I saw a movie once. It was a talkie. I think it was by that English guy. 844-500-42. 42. Oh, it's too easy. It's too easy. Let's see. Play cut one.
Have you selected your vice president, and who is she?
Well, since this is embargoed to Thursday, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, kind of a non sequitur. But, in the Joe Biden scheme of things, it's almost a coherent sentence. Cut 4.
We should have a circumstance where they were able to meet all the criteria that are recommended by the CDC and others and be able to put on a sticker on their window saying, like a good housekeeping seal, you can come in here because we test, we distance, we do all the like.
Has he been in a store since they started reopening? I mean, they all have signs, all these signs on them, right? You have to agree to this social distancing, mask required, all this stuff. It's kind of like a good housekeeping seal of approval. So anyway, Trump was he's in Ohio visiting a factory, a Whirlpool factory today, and he landed in Cleveland. And I think this was before he left the White House, or as he left the White House. He looked at these statements of Joe Biden's, especially the one where he talked about how the Hispanics are a very diverse community, unlike the African Americans. And he had this response. Cut number 18, Donald Trump.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible, and I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made, and I guess you'll figure that out. You'll see it in a little while, but it was a great insult to the black community.
They all think alike. At least he didn't say they all looked alike. But he did say they all think alike. I mean, that's what it boils down to. 844-500-4240. Grace just handed me a headline from the Babylon Bee. I don't need a cognitive test. Biden screams at a pigeon. 774, it is great fun to make fun of Joe Biden, but if that was your grandfather, you would never put him in a position to look like such a fool. It's embarrassing for the gentleman to be paraded in public as such a bleepity bleep bleep. Yeah, but, I mean, we have to stop the guy from becoming president, and they're prepared to steal the election. We just have to make enough people aware of it that no matter how much they steal and rob in the mail-in voting and the voter harvesting and the ranked voting and all the other scams and schemes that they've got going on, and they are going to be winked at by the DAs and these corrupt, rotten borough blue states and blue cities. We have to stop the guy. I mean, can you imagine this guy as president? It would be scary. I mean, the scariest thing is, even scarier than Joe Biden being president, is you wouldn't know who was running the country. You got to know who's running the country. I mean, I am not too confident in the ability of his handlers to act in a way that makes America great again, shall we say? I don't think the Democrats believe in America first anymore. 844-500-4242. Neil, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Neil.
So, Howie, correct me if I'm wrong. Back in the days of vaudeville, they had a hook.
Yes.
And you were
supposedly, yeah. I never saw it myself, but I've seen it in movies. Yeah, go ahead.
But my father, I'm 61, so my father told me about it, and he used to say, "You're going to get the hook." And I can just picture Joe Biden in the debates and this big hook coming out. Maybe his wife, I don't know, pulling him with the hook off stage because he's he's so non-compos mentis.
Yes, not of sound
they can't
mind.
leave him out there. They have to give him the hook. They have to put a hook around him and get him off the stage. It's just a picture in my mind, and
I don't know. They just seem to keep doubling down on this debating that, of course he's going to debate and all that. So I love the fact that Rudy Giuliani came out there today and said, we don't want 3 debates. We want 4 debates. And we want one before the mail-in and absentee ballot voting starts, which means in mid-next month, mid-September. I don't know, a hook. Boy, that would be elderly abuse, wouldn't it? To have a giant hook for Joe Biden. I think a net is more kind, more compassionate. 844-500-4242. Do all of his aides wear white coats? Do they have stethoscopes around their neck? Do they all yell "stat, stat"? Tom, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Howie. They did the Mayflower 2 over, right? So that they're shipping it up. Gia Riamondo won't let it in Rhode Island.
She won't?
Isn't that racist? No, she won't. She won't share it on the news.
Really?
Isn't
Why?
that racist, though?
Why won't she let the Mayflower in? They let John Kerry's boat into Rhode Island when he was trying to beat the excise tax on the town of Nantucket. How can she not let the Mayflower in there?
Isn't it a sign of oppression?
I guess it is.
You're looking at it with that lens. It's in New Bedford right now.
I've been talking about how all these people, these governors and mayors, are trying to one up themselves. So you saw what happened yesterday in Rhode Island, right? First of all, there was one death in Rhode Island. So you can see why she's going crazy and has to shut the state down again. There were 2 deaths in Massachusetts. Same thing with Charlie Parker. He's threatened to shut the state down because we have 2 deaths yesterday. So she says, I am going to shut the bars down at 11 o'clock starting next week. They've apparently negotiated a truce with the COVID vaccine, or the COVID virus, excuse me. You can the COVID virus will not attack you if you have a drink at midnight, one for the road in Providence. But next week, if you try to order a drink in Rhode Island at 11:01, you will be struck down by the virus. So, she must have thought, well, I'm doing good. Maybe this isn't as good as de Blasio with his checkpoint Charlie's going into the city, but 11 o'clock shutdown. I'm the first one who's thought it to have the bars closed that early. So they have a new Democrat governor in Kentucky. Do you know what he announced today? 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. And I'm assuming Charlie Parker is going to have a press conference tomorrow. 9 o'clock. And then Janet Mills, 8:30. No more drinks after 8:30. Bill, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Howie, I heard Biden did take a test. It was a Coke Pepsi challenge, and his winner was Dr. Pepper. His winner was Dr. Pepper.
Oh, man. He'll take a test. He's never done very well on those tests. That's he didn't really finish first in his law school class, as we know. Thanks for the call, Bill. Frank, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Howie, how we doing?
Good.
Well, let me tell you, Smokey Joe is that's what I call him. Not Sleepy Joe, Smokey Joe. He's always he looks stoned, man. And if he was my grandfather, I'm sure I would have got a beating, and I would have taken the beating. Joe is unfit to run the country, man. And I truly believe that Rice lady did. I work for Obama.
Yeah.
And a few others, they're the ones who are going to run the country. It's just a facade, like those fancy buildings with the facades. That's pretty much what I believe.
I know. Well, the thing is, do you want Susan Rice to be running the country? I mean, she is one of the really duplicitous people, even by deep state standards. Again, we've talked about it a million times, but she's the one after Benghazi who went out there and lied on 5 different shows on that Sunday morning, 5 different shows, and said it was the fault of that video on YouTube that nobody had seen. Hillary Clinton refused to go out there and lie and carry the water for Barack Obama. And then she's the one who wrote the CYA memo about 15 minutes before Trump was inaugurated saying, we had a meeting on January 5th in the Oval Office, and Biden was there. And Biden's the one who mentioned the using the Logan Act to go after Flynn, according to Strzok's notes. And President Obama said, we have to do everything by the book, which every time I read that by the book, I think of the Watergate tapes. Remember that? And one of them goes to Nixon and says we got to raise $1 million for the plumbers for their legal defense funds, and Nixon says we could raise $1 million, and then he realizes he's got the tape recorder going. He goes, but that would be wrong. We could do everything by the book, or else. Yeah, the ghost of Richard Nixon was in the Oval Office when that statement was made. Lisa, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hey, Howie. This is Lisa from Maine. I've been thinking all this time, where is Joe Biden's wife? I mean, I've been married to the same man for 35 years, and I would no sooner go in an interview and be basically going along with everything that's happening with him. His mental capacity is not there. And to support him quietly is one thing, but to support him out in public like that, to me, she was just throwing her husband.
You know the old saying, Lisa, power is an aphrodisiac. You know, and I mean, I think that's what it is. She wants the power. I mean, you're right. I mean, how many women would stand by if their husband was running for president and he introduced them to the audience as his sister? Or when she pushed out her hand, remember that? She pushed out her hand and he grabbed the hand and bit it. He bit her hand. I mean, he's not all there. The president is right about that. What would you do? How long would you let it go on, Lisa?
I wouldn't. I would have stopped it, or I would have at least been quiet about it. Like, I would support my husband, but there's no way that I would be a part of the crazy. It's embarrassing for him as a man. He doesn't know what's going on. It's obvious. And it's just, I was so disgusted with her. And that's not what you do to your husband.
Yeah, you know, even Obama said, supposedly, you know, you don't have to do this, Joe.
Obama's the only one who actually showed a little bit of
humanity?
Yeah, humanity and empathy
compassion,
for him and
yeah.
said, listen, you don't have to do this. That's something your wife should do for you. Your wife should say, listen, you're going to go out as a really respected politician. It's okay to enjoy your grandkids and sit by the pool for the last 10 years. You don't need to go around the country and, you know, be part of this freak show. It's really, I totally agree with Lisa. It's really, really mean and selfish of her not to help him.
The lure of the greenback. First, she looks at the purse. You know how much money this will mean? Look at the last two Democrat presidents. I mean, the Clintons have made hundreds of millions of dollars. The Obamas, before it's over, will probably be billionaires. Even a nitwit like Joe Biden, all of his family, they're all crooks and drunks, and they're all millionaires, multimillionaires. All right. 844-500-4242 401 says, I just returned from Seekonk back to my Rhode Island border town. That's, you know, Seekonk is right on the line. At least 75% of the car in the store shopping lots had Rhode Island plates. So how's Charlie's quarantine order going to work? It's not going to work. It's virtue signaling, though. He's got to, you know, he's got to stay ahead of the game. Just like Gina and Janet and Gretchen and JB the Hut Pritzker and Murphy and Cuomo, they're all in this little game. They're all in this tournament, you know, to see who could be the biggest jerk. Right now, de Blasio is slightly ahead, but they'll catch up with him. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Precinct 10 Restaurant in Weymouth. From their creamy baked mac and cheese with short ribs to their Louisiana-style paella, Precinct 10 is first class. Open at 4, Tuesday through Sunday for dine-in and curbside takeout.
The Bayview Collection is a small group of distinctive luxury boutique hotels located in the beautiful coastal village of Camden, Maine, whose properties include the Lord Camden Inn, Camden's premier downtown boutique hotel, the Grand Harbor Inn, Camden's only four-diamond waterfront hotel, and 16 Bayview, Camden's newest contemporary hotel property with its iconic rooftop bar, The View. The Bayview Collection, 3 great choices, 1 remarkable destination. To learn more, visit them at bayviewcollection.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble some of the things I say. But I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me, it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. $1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Tuxtown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Biden is a 2020 version of Max Headroom. 844-500-4242, 508. I have a stupid question. I had a scary thought that Biden would choose Obama for VP and then Biden would become... that's on the front page of the Herald today saying, Obama would be the best choice, Michelle Obama, but I don't see it. And the thing is, she also said I was in a state of depression. I mean, that's not a good thing to be saying when you're running for president. Remember when Tom Eagleton, 1972, he was going to be McGovern's running mate, the senator from Missouri, who wasn't a bad guy apparently, but he had actually had electroshock therapy. And so, what the Nixon people were putting out the bumper stickers, vote for Eagleton. I know they wouldn't do that for Muchel, and she didn't say she had electroshock therapy, but, you begin to think, is that what you want for someone who could be the president, someone who's prone to depression by her own account? Bruce, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bruce.
Hey, Howie, how are you doing, buddy?
Good.
Hey, before I get to my point, you left out the fact that besides being alcoholics and drunks and whatever, that the crackheads and everything else are from their family, the Bidens. But so
they're also shoplifters too, and they deal in stolen credit cards too. Some of the nieces.
That comes with the territory. But so with this after 8:30, no drinks for anybody.
Right.
And does it pertain? Do they have a moratorium on looting and rioting? My buddies are all worried that they're not going to be able to riot and loot after 8 o'clock.
I guess instead of saying last call for alcohol or something like that, you just have to put up a sign. Antifa riot now in progress. And then that way you could just keep serving all night, Bruce. I hadn't even thought about that. This is the solution to everything. It's like that it's like that Speedway down in North Carolina. Remember that? They had a limit on the number of people you could have, so they just put up a sign and they said this is a giant protest. And then they loaded up the place. And they lost the case in court, but I thought it was a really good idea. 844-500-4242. Just 781. Just shopped for about an hour up here in Seabrook, New Hampshire, almost USA. Message boards flashing up and back. Didn't see any police doing anything. Thank God for that King Charlie. Yeah, I know. That's as if you're not depressed enough to be in Massachusetts. They have those electronic messaging boards threatening you. Usually it's only around the 4th of July telling you not to buy fireworks, but now they can hector you on those messaging boards 365 days a year. I can't wait till this is over. I'm Howie Carr.
Matthews Brothers with 1T, America's oldest window manufacturer. For over 8 years, we here at Matthews Brothers have ended every stupid commercial with that simple but repetitive spelling reminder. Even so, people come up to us every day and say, "Hey there, Mr. Man, were those Matthews Brothers fictional or were they real, like the Marx Brothers, the Wright Brothers, or the Blues Brothers?" We usually respond with, "Listen here, sister. 25 years before Tom Edison invented electricity, Spencer, Noah, and Sanford Matthews started making their first wicked awesome windows in Belfast, Maine. Being the clever fellas they were, they decided to call the company Matthews Brothers. Over the next 166 years, the company passed from the Matthews to the Frost to the Lang and finally to the Hawthorne family, who today are in their third generation of leadership and management. This continuity has allowed us to maintain the Matthews Brothers traditions of superior quality, outstanding performance, and surprising affordability. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with 1T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, "You don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy."
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
It's time for quarantine questions. You're up, Jared. What have you been eating the most during this quarantine?
I've been eating a lot of Indian food because that's all that's in the machine downstairs, and I'm really growing to like it.
What is your drink of choice during the lockdown?
My drink of choice, I'm definitely a Scotch guy. A nice Dewar's really does it for me.
What about a non-alcoholic drink?
Coffee.
What one TV show would you recommend to people who are quarantining right now?
One show? Star Trek The Next Generation. You can't go wrong. It's got everything you want. It's got high-concept science fiction. It's got humanity. It's got great characters. It's the last truly great television show.
What is the biggest pet peeve about being at home?
I can see all the dirt that I don't clean, and it mocks me.
What is the biggest silver lining of staying at home?
I'd say wearing sweatpants, but I do that most of the time anyway. I'll say wearing my Spider-Man costume and not being judged.
What's one book you're loving right now?
I'm a big comic book guy, so I'm reading a lot of comic books. Right now, I'm going back over the classic Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Amazing Spider-Man run, about the first 40 issues.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Cory Booker said it best.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
Here's stumbling and mumbling Joe Biden.
David Duke, the former leader of the KKK.
The Ku Klux Klan is the Ku Klux Klan. 8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way. But if Donald Trump is reelected, Freudian slip, and the demagogues around the world. We also have a mechanism to control drug prices. Folks at the folks at Health and the health department in the United States, HHS. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. I never ever thought that I'd see what I saw in Charlotte.
Would you or would you not rejoin the TPP, yes or no?
I would not rejoin the TTP. Well, they're going out and getting G5 and going to dominate. I mean, what are we doing? The bills that the future president here, that the senator's talking about.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online. Set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If Mr. Gooner was a person, what college would she attend?
The U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Is Mr. Gooner a conservative or a Democrat?
Mr. Gooner is a fiscal conservative and a social liberal.
If you could have dinner with any president, dead or alive, who would it be?
Calvin Coolidge. He was from Massachusetts, and I liked his attitude towards public sector unions, and he said the business of America is business. He's my guy.
Other than yourself, which columnist do you respect the most?
The late George Fraser, he was a columnist for the Boston Herald, the Boston...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
I don't know what's going on. Statement he made.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You take a test where you're taking cocaine or not? What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? His campaign says it's launching the largest presidential TV ad buy ever.
Biden today revealing he won't travel to Milwaukee to accept the nomination.
Joe Biden will not travel to this month's Democratic National Convention.
The healthiest thing we can do is just ignore this and pretend it doesn't exist.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law.
I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Miss Yates, when did you first become aware that the Obama administration was surveilling the Donald Trump campaign?
The FISA application was for Carter Page, who was a former member of the Trump campaign. The Russians had made the overture that they wanted to be able to assist the Trump campaign.
Now, hold on, you said it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign.
I said that he was not a member of the Trump campaign.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. The number is 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. It was another big day for Joe Biden after he completed his telephone call. His video chat. He confused a telephone call with a virtual appearance in front of some black and Hispanic journalists. And it was quite a performance. Quite a performance. Wouldn't you agree, Grace?
I actually said to Taylor today, I said, where was that clip from of Joe Biden? And Taylor said, his basement. Where do you think it was from? He's just been in his basement. Everything's coming from that basement. And it was bad. I actually thought today the cut, which was in the introduction, is probably worse than the one from yesterday. The "Are you a junkie?" That's a tough one to wear as well. But there was something about today's that was, I don't know. It really gave you an insight into his mind.
It was so condescending.
Yeah. And that's the level his pandering's at, where it's not just enough for him to pander to a certain group. He has to disparage another group to make the group he's pandering to feel as though he really cares about them. And it's like a mean girl in high school. Like, oh, you can't just be nice to me. You have to talk about someone else. It's really bad. He's just been looking. But one thing that did come up, Howie, so yesterday I mentioned to you that I noticed that Joe Biden does this thing where he'll start a sentence and then he'll say, I shouldn't go into that. I shouldn't talk about that. And then, like they were reading my mind, Free Beacon, one of those poor people at Free Beacon, I don't know how they deal with this, went through all of Joe Biden's footage.
Don't you think, Grace, I'm not giving away any trade secrets here, but don't you think, like us, they have the numbers to the Trump campaign? Don't you think they maybe got a few helpful suggestions?
I'm just saying, purely from a cutting audio stance, this must have been painful to create. This is a montage of Joe Biden basically every single time saying, I shouldn't go into that.
And what we think,
as I joke with him, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say. Well, I tell you what, I shouldn't say anything. Everybody laughs about no, I shouldn't say that. I'm not even going to go there. And the president not make false, I shouldn't say false. This president is absolutely, I shouldn't say it. We used to say in Claymont, Delaware, he ain't I won't get into it. I shouldn't say it. On people who anyway, I shouldn't get going on that. That's a stupid way to say it. I shouldn't have said it that way. Buddy, I shouldn't be so casual. A guy... I shouldn't get going. It shouldn't have been such a wise guy. Shouldn't have even said that. And he said, I was asking him, anyway, I won't go through the whole story. Go ahead. No, probably best I don't.
See, the thing is, that's obviously a way to cover up the fact that he's lost his train of thought. He can't remember what he was starting to talk about.
I think that is true in some circumstances. I think in other circumstances, he might realize that what he's about to say actually isn't going to translate to 2020. But either way,
when he tells the parents to put on the phonograph records for their kids when they go to sleep at night.
Well, you know that Twitter, there's a Twitter account called Joe Biden Insult Bot, and whatever you tweet at it, it will tweet back at you a dog-faced pony soldier type of insult, but each one's more wild than the next. And that's what I think a lot of his things are that he doesn't say. He stops himself because they probably aren't PC.
You know, the thing is, he hasn't said dog-faced lion pony soldier for, what, 6 weeks? 6 weeks? 8 weeks? That's a long time.
That's one of his favorites, too. That's a standby. Before I get into my other news, I want to give a quick shout out to Nancy Gallagher. That is my fiance's grandmother. We all call her Gram. It is her birthday today. She is a Texas woman living here in Massachusetts.
She's a Mustang.
She's a Mustang. She's SMU grad, and she's absolutely fabulous, and we love her. We want to wish her a happy birthday. She's a big Trump supporter, and she's not afraid to tell anybody that she loves Donald Trump, and happy birthday to Graham. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the new Trump ad, Howie. I don't know if you saw it, the Drain the Swamp ad.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
So I tweeted it out. I think, Taylor, you probably saw it on Twitter. He's doing this phenomenal job. I don't know who's cutting up his stuff, but he's basically calling out Obama, Hillary Clinton, and he's framing it in a way that everyone can understand exactly what happened with Spygate, even if you're not, like, for example, I sent it to my younger sister because I don't think a lot of young people followed what happened, but he's setting it all up so that people can understand.
How long is it?
I think it was probably like 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute and 30 seconds.
So it's not really like an ad to be on TV.
It's just more a trailer.
It's an internet ad.
It looks like it was a trailer for a movie, but it's really good. I hope that he keeps getting the word out about Comey and Clapper and all of these people. And one thing it highlighted was that Joe Biden they showed the clip of Joe Biden saying, I had no idea about the unmasking. And then they showed a clip of a news reporter saying his name was the last name on the list.
Yeah.
So I think what Trump's doing right now is very smart.
Yeah, he was doing unmaskings according to the documents. And then again, Strzok's notes
indicate that he was the one who brought up using the Logan Act, which is this phony baloney 200-year-old leftover piece of garbage that just never been used to prosecute anybody, but they were going to use it against him. And then yesterday, Senator Cruz had Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general, and she was at that same meeting. And he asked her whether or not she recalled who brought up the Logan Act, and guess what? She couldn't remember. Right, right. That amnesia, a lot of it going around. You know, I mean, again, she's still 240. I don't remember. It's behind James Comey,
right?
But still, that's a pretty important thing to misremember, as George W. Bush used to say.
And Howie, one thing you'd love about this ad, or trailer, whatever you want to call it, is in the beginning they show someone texting. And they do the text bubbles of what Lisa Page and Peter Strzok were sending back to each other. No, he won't win. We will stop him. Because that kind of stuff, it doesn't get any play. And then Sally Yates got zero coverage on CBS, NBC. No one talked about her hearings yesterday. It's really unbelievable the amount of just shielding that they're doing for Joe Biden and Obama. But I think what Trump did today when he came out and didn't take any questions, he just came out with, did you guys see what Joe Biden said? Because then the headline becomes Trump, Joe Biden insulted the black community. But it's the only way to get them to talk about what Joe Biden said.
Right. And he also said he's not all there. I mean, he just put it out there as a flat statement.
Right.
It's not like, did you see this? Did you see that? Here's what he said. He just said he's not all there. It's kind of like saying crooked Hillary. Right?
Right.
Shorthand.
Something that people can, repeat to themselves, because it's true. He doesn't have all his marbles. And, Lisa in the first hour said it. It is sad. I mean, I'm not watching Joe Biden anymore laughing at him. I'm watching him like, oh, this is not good.
I'll laugh enough for both of us.
Yeah, well, you have that little Howie Carr mean streak in you. Guys, Grace's News is brought to you by Toyota of Portsmouth, the house of value. I absolutely love my new RAV4 XLE. It's so roomy, so comfortable. I'm actually taking it to a drive-in tonight because that's how much I love my new car. I got it from Toyota of Portsmouth. Everyone there was so helpful, just phenomenal service from Brad, who helped me.
Is Ed Markey going to the drive-in with you?
Oh, I don't know. Hopefully. Does he like The Dark Knight? If you plug in, for me, if I plug in my phone, my whole iPhone comes up on my front screen. It has unbelievable capabilities. It drives very smoothly. It's navy blue and then leather on the inside. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But more importantly, everyone at Toyota of Portsmouth helped me pick out my car, helped me with the financing for the lease. They're just unbelievable. Jim Boyle, everybody there is fabulous. So they are located just south of the Portsmouth traffic circle off 95. You really can't miss them. It's a very easy location. Go to toyotaofportsmouth.com or visit them at the showroom. Tell them Grace sent you, and I promise you they will treat you like family. They're the best in the business.
All right. Ed Markey, with the senator from Massachusetts, was talking last week about how he'd been to a drive-in recently.
This is a different drive-in, but
it had closed 40 years ago.
If he comes to the drive-in, I hope he brings his ice cream truck and gives everybody ice cream who's watching the movie.
That's right. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green. That means it's safe for family and pets. It was the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner had an accident, as my older pug so often did. Before you purchase new carpeting and go through all that hassle and headaches of measuring and coming up with the money and driving to the store, et cetera, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains, it's a disinfectant that kills viruses. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out yet again. Genesis 950 is made in America, and as we like to say, buy American, support America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1 gallon purchase of Genesis 950. Go to genesis950.com and enter code Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Folensby Inn of North Sutton, New Hampshire. Just 90 minutes from Boston on the shores of pristine Kezar Lake. Perfect for year-round relaxation. Book your stay at folensbyinn.com.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying.
Hitler was a Christian.
Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
You have tanning lotion on,
A little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Out of all of your books, which is your favorite title and why?
I think my favorite title is Hitman because it's very effective. I thought long and hard about it. We're going to make it Boston Hitman, but then why make it Boston Hitman? Just make it Hitman. Make it a universal subject.
If you could have dinner with one author, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would probably have dinner with William Shakespeare. I know that's a cliche response, but he was the greatest writer in the English language, no question about it.
If you won Mega Millions, would you retire completely?
I used to say no, I would not retire, but yeah, I think I would retire now.
If you had to leave all of your money to one charity, which would it be?
The Salvation Army. I like what the Salvation Army does. I don't think they have too many highly paid executives trying to be social justice warriors.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. That's my dog. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Was the U.S. right to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima?
Oh. Yes, absolutely.
98% say yes.
Yeah.
Almost perfect. I would agree. I don't think you could do it nowadays. Not that you would want to, but I'm saying that kind of decision, nobody would want to be responsible for that kind of decision.
That decision was made by President Harry S. Truman, Democrat.
Okay, speaking of
Democrats like Harry S. Truman anymore.
Speaking of Democrats, I want to talk a little bit about a few of our favorite Democrats from New York. His Honor, Bill de Blasio and Governor Andrew Cuomo. So they're having another governor-mayor spat. This one comes after the cuts. We don't have to play them again. We played them yesterday. Andrew Cuomo was basically groveling, lamenting that no one would come back from the Hamptons to have dinner with him because they don't want to come back to the city. And it's kind of like the Willy Wonka, like, oh, really? Oh, I cannot believe that people don't want to
Guess what?
come
People
back.
not coming back from the Hamptons is the least of his problem. He's got half of the population is in Florida.
Right.
If they're in Florida, they're not paying any state income taxes.
But if you thought it couldn't get worse than Cuomo yesterday, listen to Bill de Blasio's response to his comments. To the point about the folks out in the Hamptons, I have to be very clear about this. We do not make decisions based on the wealthy few. I was troubled to hear this concept that because the wealthy people have a set of concerns about the city, that we should accommodate them, that we should build our policy and approaches around them. That's not how it works here anymore. The city is for New York.
Wait a second. That's not how anything works. Nothing works in New York City, Mayor de Blasio, since you became mayor.
And I'm going to skip down. He says, there are a lot of New Yorkers who are wealthy, who are true believers in New York City and will stand and fight with us. And there's some who may be fair weather friends, but we must build our policies around working people.
He's from Cambridge, in case you didn't know. All the jerks are from Massachusetts. I hate to say it over and over again.
Go ahead, name a few. I know you want to.
The two worst governors. Charlie Parker from Massachusetts and his high school classmate Phil Murphy from New Jersey. And then this bum, de Blasio, who went to Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School. And then, I will match Adam Schiff against any loathsome congressman you can name. He's from Framingham, Massachusetts.
But if you're a wealthy New Yorker and you've gotten out of Dodge and now you're in the Hamptons enjoying what I'm sure is a beautiful Hampton summer, and then one person in New York says, oh, they won't come back. We need them to come back so that we can, so they pay enough. We need them to, and the other one's like, we don't even want them to come back. We don't need them. I would be like, don't worry. I'm not coming back. I'm taking all my monies and I'm going far away. I'm moving to Texas. I'm moving to Florida. I'm moving to a red state. I would not set foot back in that place.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I don't know who's coming back. I don't know who's coming. Even before they started getting into this whole thing about, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days, and he's got people chasing him around. They're letting people out after committing violent crimes with no bail, and yet they're threatening to fine tax-paying citizens $10,000 because they want to come in and shop.
He's
insane.
And I just don't know what they think is going to happen because I feel bad for New York City. I do like New York City. I mean, it's supposed to be the center of the Big Apple.
Grace, you liked New York City. The New York City you like doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I'm one of those people, I would go maybe once a year. I would take a train, go once a year, maybe see a show, see some friends who are in New York City, but I don't see myself going back there anytime soon. It's going to take years for them to bounce back. Years. It's really sad. In other news, Howie, I wanted to talk briefly. Joe Biden tells donors. So we've been talking about Joe Biden's comment about the black community, which was extremely offensive and actually racist, unlike Donald Trump, who they say is racist. Joe Biden seems to actually be one. He also told donors that he supports more funding for the police. So at first he wanted to defund or redirect funding, and now he's saying he actually wants to give more money to the police.
That's like he took cognitive tests 6 weeks ago, and then yesterday he said he didn't take any cognitive tests. And by the way, are you a junkie?
Right. No, right. He said, I don't want to defund police. I want to get police more money in order to deal with the things they badly need, from making sure they have access to community policing.
Isn't that one of the things that Twitter banned Trump on, or cut his response? Or Twitter and Facebook when Trump said Biden said he wanted to defund the police. We've all heard that cut. That's the cut where he goes protect, only he says tect. So
right.
They should be in the neighborhoods tecting the people.
Well, it's funny because one news anchor, I can't remember the station, said to another one, oh, he was defending Joe Biden. He said, oh, he didn't actually say he wants to defund the police. He said he wants to redirect funding. And the other guy said to him, if I redirect your paycheck into my bank account, it's going to seem the same to you as defunding. And I thought that's the best way to put it. It's absolutely insanity, and he doesn't.
We'll play that cut from Joe Biden when we come back before we go to the phone lines at 844-500-4242. And in a way, it really is more obnoxious even than what he said yesterday. And,
yeah, I think so.
And more of a racial slur. I'm Howie Carr.
Nowadays, seems like companies are running away from their own iconic brands so quickly you'd think they owed them money. Must be they figured that it's easier to improve the name than it is to improve the product. We here at Matthews Brothers have a different philosophy when it comes to our brands. Instead of naming our products for something that sounds grandiose, like the Super Duper Thermal Insul Shield 2.0, we prefer to use names that are actually meaningful to us. For example, the Sanford Hills, named for the youngest of the original founding brothers, Sanford Hills Matthews. A man who was a skilled craftsman as well as a teacher, Sanford Hills had a relentless passion for quality, and he inspired this passion in those with whom he worked. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave, Sanford never took a vacation in the 37 years he worked here, except to attend his only son's graduation from the University of Rochester in 1885. His passion for quality was his legacy and something that remains part of our fabric today. You can see the results of our continued relentless passion for making wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Biden might be the front runner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch it. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the West.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark.
You might hear a lot about Bernie, Biden, and Elizabeth Warren, but what about the lightweights who are running for president? Here's a best of the B team.
I've listened to some of my colleagues, Mr. Glover, tell you how much they like your movies. And I have to say, we didn't come here to talk about your movies. We came here to talk about your activism. I like your activism. I also like your movies, but I want to give you a chance because I haven't heard the other side other than tell you that they like they like your movies.
I think the NRA is the worst organization in this country for doing exactly that. They care more about the profits than the American people.
I learned a long time ago about polling. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. I mean, right now, I got nowhere to go but up.
Millions living in the shadows, working some of the toughest jobs, kept in modern-day bondage.
People commit crime. Crime happens.
I have won every single congressional district in my state, including Michelle Bachmann's, okay? That's when you guys are supposed to cheer.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Surplus military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know anybody. They become the enemy. They're supposed to be protecting these people. So my generic point is that...
Do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing. He says he wants to redirect it. Absolutely. And that's not defunding the police. And they let him get away with it. Yesterday, we played you the cuts of him calling the black CBS reporter who asked him to please clarify his remarks on whether he'd ever taken the cognitive mental test. And he responded, are you a junkie? Are you on cocaine?
And when asked in June if you'd been tested for cognitive decline, you've responded that you're constantly tested in effect because you're in situations like this on the campaign trail. But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Come on, man. He said he had taken a test. He said that to the guy from Fox who he called the lying dog-faced pony soldier. Or excuse me, he called him a dog-faced pony soldier. He didn't add the adjective lion to it. But he said it. So anyway, last night, he's talking to a black guy who's asked him a legitimate question, which you just heard. So do you think if Donald Trump, first of all, changed his story about taking the cognitive test and then called the reporter, the black reporter who had asked him the question in a very respectful way, a junkie, do you think they would have glossed over it and not mentioned it? Of course not. Well, here is CBS, ABC, and NBC breezing over it last night, that cut we just played, 26.
Biden today also brushed off questions raised by Mr. Trump about his mental fitness, telling black and Latino journalists, including CBS's Errol Barnett, that he's never taken a cognitive test.
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Joe Biden led the Recovery Act that saved millions of jobs.
His campaign says it's launching the largest presidential TV ad buy ever.
Hitting back today, Joe Biden said the only things that can stop the Democratic Party now are Trump defunding the post office and interfering with the election. Biden today revealing he won't travel to Milwaukee to accept the nomination, saying he wants to do it in his home state of Delaware, calling it the right thing to do.
With the COVID pandemic still raging, it was announced today that Joe Biden will not travel to this month's Democratic National Convention. His rival, President Trump, meantime, is sending more mixed messages about mail-in voting. Jeff Bennett is at the White House.
Tonight, Republicans and Democrats scrambling to make final arrangements for their national conventions, upended by the pandemic. Joe Biden will no longer travel to Milwaukee later this month to accept the Democratic nomination for president due to coronavirus concerns. Convention organizers announced today he'll now deliver that speech from his home state of Delaware.
From a basement. They're going to be the delegates are going to have visiting hours for Joe Biden, 2 to 4 and 7 to 9.
How pitiful is that? They talk about audio gold, video gold, and they didn't even use any of it, or 1 out of the 3 used it just briefly and then brushed over it. It's amazing. Just gets a total pass. It's nice to be a Democrat. Being a Democrat means you never having to say you're sorry. Lou, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Lou.
Hey, Howie. Nice talking to you. Listen, I was just wondering why the feds are not using water cannons on the protesters in Portland.
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know the answer to that question, Lou. I mean, that would seem like it was pretty safe to do. And plus, as our old city councilor here in Boston used to say, Dapper O'Neill, it'd give them a good bath, too, like which a lot of them look like they need. I don't know, Lou. I don't know the answer to that question. All I know is the police chief of Portland has finally had enough, too. I don't know if he's off the reservation from what the mayor wants him to say, Ted Wheeler, but he just said enough is enough. It's certainly true. I mean, they laid off for one night, and then they thought that was all they had to do, and they just come out and they just start causing more trouble. I mean, what exactly are they protesting out there? The Hatfield federal courthouse. He was a war hero, and he was one of the first Republicans to turn against the Vietnam War. I mean, a pretty decent public servant. Never had any whiff of scandal about him. And the courthouse that they're trying to destroy in Seattle is named after one of the interned Japanese Americans from World War II who joined this famous regiment of all Japanese Americans. They fought their way up the Italian peninsula. This guy, he got the Medal of Honor after he just single-handedly held off a huge number of Germans and killed a bunch of them before he was finally taken out. And now they want to burn down the courthouse that's named after him. Really quality people. Thanks for the call, Lou. I don't know the answer to your question. Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, hey, Howie, how you doing? I just want to ask you something. I mean, I watched his Yates hearings yesterday, and the thing that upsets me is, why is it when the Republicans have all the power, they always give the Democrat a way out? You know, Lindsey Graham, 10 minutes into the hearings, agreeing, saying, well, I believe you didn't know that what was in FISA warrant. To me, you know what, if that was Bill Barr, did you think Adam Schiff would give him an out?
No. Yeah, you're right, Bob. I was thinking the same thing when he said, would you say that James Comey went rogue? And I mean, it's beyond rogue. I mean, rogue is just like you're just a colorful character who may say something untoward. That was a crime that James Comey committed, Bob. Why couldn't he say that? He's a lawyer. I thought he was a jag. I thought he had experience in the courtroom. And you're right, he was tossing up these softball questions to Sally Yates. I'm glad he got her in there and put her on the record, but he didn't really hit her with some tough questions. And then he said, didn't he say something like, I know you wouldn't have gone after that warrant if you'd have known that the dossier was so totally bogus, would you? I mean, his role is basically that of a prosecutor, right? That's why he's got her in there. And then he's asking her these questions like he's her defense lawyer, like she's a character witness for somebody. Oh, the whole thing about Carter Page too. He let her slide on that one, he kind of let her slide on that one. She said that they weren't surveilling the Trump campaign; they were surveilling Carter Page. Now, why the hell do they care about Carter Page unless it's to get to Donald Trump? And why are they going after Carter Page in the first place when they know, even though they falsified the documents later on when they went to get the warrant to surveil him, they knew he was an asset of the CIA. He had cooperated with the CIA in a major criminal case, an investigation against Russian spies. So why would they be investigating him unless they were just seeking to get the camel's nose under the tent? Let's play. This is Sally Yates and Senator Lindsey Graham. Cut 22.
Ms. Yates, in your time at the Department of Justice, are you aware of any other political opponents of President Obama that were being surveilled?
Graham.
Again, Senator, if you're talking about the court-authorized surveillance of Carter Page.
I'm asking, are you aware of any surveillance of any other political opponents, any other candidates for president in 2016? There were a whole bunch of them, including the chairman and myself. Were either of us being surveilled, yes or no?
The answer to that is no, and I also think that there was also no information that the Russians were working to aid another candidate other than Donald Trump.
Okay, so your testimony is no other candidate in 2016 was being surveilled other than Carter Page and the Trump campaign. Is that right?
Other than Carter Page.
Other than Carter Page. Cut 21.
And what was the reason for the files on Carter Page?
There were a number of reasons. First, we had gotten the information that I was trying to point out here, that the Russians had made the overture, that they wanted to be able to assist the Trump campaign.
From who?
No, hold on, you said it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign.
I said that he was not a member of the Trump campaign at the time that we initiated the FISA.
So if he wasn't a member of the Trump campaign and he was working as a CIA asset and he went to the U.S. Naval Academy and was a graduate, which probably reduced more than somewhat the odds that he was a traitor to the United States of America, why were they so damn interested in him? And why did they go back, not for 1, 2, 3, but for 4 applications of FISA warrants, including, I think, 2 or 3, at least 2, when they knew that the dossier, which all of the warrant application facts, so-called, were based upon, was totally bogus. They kept going back for him. Bob, you're go ahead. Thanks for the call, Bob. George, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, fourth time, long time, Howie.
Thank you.
Listen, these people are moving out of New York City. That's fine. They can move wherever they want, but leave their liberal ideas back in New York.
Amen.
We don't want them.
Amen, George. Where do you live? What state are you from?
Maine, up to Maine.
Maine, yeah. Maine suffered. New Hampshire has certainly suffered. And they've changed parts of North Carolina. They've changed North Carolina. They've taken over Virginia. Colorado is pretty much gone, except for a few congressional districts. You're right. It's a terrible thing. You know, they flee the devastation that the policies they voted for have caused, and then they come into these new states that are running very smoothly, and they're a great boon for the taxpayers and for everybody who lives there, and then they ruin them. I'm worried about Florida, George. You know. I mean, Florida's it's Republican, but it's close. Say Texas the same way, and you got all the Silicon Valley people are moving into Texas. You know, so Texas, you got places like Travis County, Austin, and Harris County, Houston. They're gone. They're gone. They're blue disaster areas in a red state. Thanks for the call, George. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Barley House in Concord and Northampton, New Hampshire, bringing people together for a great time and great food, including fresh ground burgers. Their amazing staff is determined to make your day better. Check out thebarleyhouse.com. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in. The worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242, and here's an update. This is from NBC News about the Obamagate investigation. U.S. Attorney John Durham will soon interview former CIA Director John Brennan, another sign that the investigation of the Trump-Russia investigators is ready to wrap up by the end of the summer. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Brennan has acknowledged that he is in the crosshairs of the criminal inquiry into the Russian investigation led by Durham. He recently claimed, and the White House acknowledged, that he had asked the CIA for his official records, including his personal notes and any classified CIA documents he had signed to help him write his upcoming memoir. But the agency denied his request, as well they should have. He's a really bad guy. He's another guy who's a legend in his own mind. Let's play the cut of Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general. She's asked about whether she ever inquired as to whether the information in the FISA document was fraudulent Democrat opposition research. They didn't use the word fraudulent, but that's what it meant. Cut 24.
So did you inquire whether it was opposition research funded by the DNC or Hillary Clinton?
Yes, I did have a discussion about that.
With whom?
With a lawyer in my office.
Would that have been Bruce Orr?
No, Bruce Orr was not working on this.
So, but his wife was working for Fusion GPS, being paid by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and he certainly was actively involved in this investigation. Did you know that? Did anyone inquire about that?
No, had no idea of that. Learned that from the Inspector General's investigation. And Bruce Orr was not working with us on any of these FISA applications.
No, he was just bringing in the documents that he picked up when he would have breakfast with his wife, who was working on it. I mean, come on. 844-500-4242. Mike, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Switched to Newsmax about 2 years ago because I think Fox has gone to the dark side. And I just want to just make it really quick. All the nonsense going on. I'm 67 years old. We've got November 3rd coming up, and there's one choice: freedom or communism. And that's it.
Maybe I wouldn't say communism, but I would at least say socialism, Mike. And the slippery slope down to the bottom of the. Yeah, you're right. There's no other choice. Where do you live, Mike? What state you live in?
Tennessee, where the mayor of my city, Nashville, great city of Nashville, has become a deep blue state, socialist / communist, since you don't like the word communist. This man is destroying our city, and but that's what he is. He's a Democrat, he's a socialist, he's a communist, and all he's doing is destroying a great city in a great state. So all I'm saying is, everybody remember November 3rd, when you go into the poll booths there, you pull the lever for freedom or communism. That's it.
Who are you voting for in the Senate primary next week?
I'm not sure yet because there's two of them. There's a Dr. Manny and there's Bill Haggerty.
Yeah.
This Bill Haggerty guy comes from Massachusetts.
Right.
Who is a Mitt Romney guy. You know, Mitt Romney hates Trump and
right, and he's backed by McConnell, but he also got the endorsement of the president, right? And this Mehdi, he's endorsed by the more conservative Freedom Caucus type people like Cruz, right?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. But this Bill Haggerty, when you say he's endorsed by Trump doesn't know everybody running for anything, all over the country.
Right.
He can't do that, But we're finding out about this Bill Haggerty. He's a Mitt Romney guy, and he's not a conservative. And he gave money to Mitt Romney, and we know Mitt Romney was the only Republican senator to vote impeachment against Trump. So I'm telling you right now in this state, we had early elections today and until it ends. But then on November 3rd, I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for, who is ever the nominee, because I got to do some more study. Because right now, this Bill Haggerty guy. You don't want
Schumer to be the majority leader, though, Mike. I mean, if Haggerty wins, you kind of got to vote for him, don't you?
It depends.
I don't want Schumer running the Senate. That would not be good news for anybody who's a taxpayer. I'm Howie Carr. Everyone knows PayPal, but did you know they're teaming up with Honey to save you money? Honey is the free online shipping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. And now it's part of the PayPal family. Just add Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite sites like normal. When you check out, just click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, DoorDash, Home Depot, Lululemon, Macy's, and more. And Honey has found its users over $2 billion in savings. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Plus, it's free to use and installs in just a few seconds. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie to start saving today. joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money, and my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses, besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop?
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. He's Howie Carr.
We will bring over your entire family from the third world Muslim hellhole that they live in so that they can have an all-expenses-paid, taxpayer-funded with open bar weekend at a nice hotel in Boston, get a nice sightseeing tour, maybe take them to Fenway Park for a game so they can see their savage Muslim terrorist kinsman sentenced to death. But the President of the United States of America can't be allowed to speak before Parliament because he's such a terrible barbarian, as opposed to the dictator of Red China. And I'm going to call it Red China. Since the Dems are down on Russia, we might as well go after all the communist dictatorships that are left, right? Russia isn't even a communist dictatorship, it's just authoritarian now, but let's call it Red China.
We all shop online, and now you can do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible.
Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You take a test where you're taking cocaine or not? What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? His campaign says it's launching the largest presidential TV ad buy ever.
Biden today revealing he won't travel to Milwaukee to accept the nomination.
Joe Biden will not travel to this month's Democratic National Convention.
The healthiest thing we can do is just ignore this and pretend it doesn't exist.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law.
I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Miss Yates, when did you first become aware that the Obama administration was surveilling the Donald Trump campaign?
The FISA application was for Carter Page, who was a former member of the Trump campaign. The Russians had made the overture that they wanted to be able to assist the Trump campaign.
Now, hold on, you said it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign.
I said that he was not a member of the Trump campaign.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Let me just make clear, if I lived in Tennessee, I think I would vote for the guy who's not a friend of Mitt Romney's. But if the other guy, Haggerty, won, even though he's a rhino, I think I would have to vote for the rhino just to try to keep the seat in Republican hands. It's just like, Susan Collins, not my really cup of tea. But, you got to vote for her instead of Sarah Gideon, right? And that's pretty simple. I mean, if you still had a Republican majority in the House, you wouldn't have had impeachment. You wouldn't have had these silly hearings. The hearings most recently with Bill Barr and the House Judiciary Committee, or the Ukraine hoax impeachment trial. None of that stuff would have happened. The Republicans have to keep control or regain control in the case of the House. All right, 844-500-4242. Let's do the chump line.
Forget the cognitive test, Howie. Biden couldn't pass a blood test.
Speaking of getting poked with a needle, a poll came out today saying that only 2/3 of Americans would get the vaccination for COVID-19. Which, again, I don't believe that poll either. I don't believe it's even 2/3 or 60% or whatever it was. I think fewer than 50% of the people would take the vaccine. I'd be one of them that would take it, but most people don't like to get poked.
Hey, Howie, you can tell Joe Biden really was a Welsh coal miner. He keeps digging himself deeper and deeper.
I know, but he's got a giant backhoe known as the mainstream media that's trying to dig him out of all the holes that he finds himself in. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, this week celebrating the return of professional sports, such as they are. Problem is, just when we thought it was safe to watch hockey, they ruined that for us. We think we're going back to our new favorite sport, downhill dirt track marble racing.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Joe. Went to the Ukraine with his kid to get some blow. Then when he made a fool of himself, that's all I got.
I thought sure the next one was going to be something about dough. I thought they were good. They were going to get dough in the Ukraine, and then they were going to come back to L.A. and buy some blow.
Howie, Jericho, Joe Biden calling. Come on, man. Of course I took a cognitive test. First they blew into my nostrils, and then they told me to go home and get pillows, and then they rubbed my hairy legs to watch the hair stand up, and then we had a tapioca pudding eating contest. You lying dog-faced pony soldier junkie.
That's good. I want to hear him call somebody a lying dog-faced pony soldier junkie.
Hey, Howie, how long would it take for Chuck Barris to give Biden the gong?
Somebody was saying earlier, that in the old days they used to have a hook in vaudeville, but I think more appropriate would be the Chuck Barris gong.
Hey, Uncle Joe, they got a net, dude. Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Every time I see him in the basement, I think of those that great Bob Dylan and the Band album. You know, first it was released as a bootleg, and then they were losing so much money they released it themselves. The Basement Tapes. Now the Trump campaign is compiling a new Basement Tapes, available on internet sites everywhere after Labor Day, if not before.
Wouldn't it be worth it to have Biden pick the mayor of Chicago as his running mate? Just to hear him call her Gordon over and over again?
Gordon Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot. Or as she's known in Chicago, Lori Lightweight. And the governor, of course, is J.B. Pritzker. And he's so fat they call him J.B. the Hut.
Hey, Joe. Come on, man. Tease us a little bit. Your vice presidential pick. What kind of shampoo does she use?
I remember some black guy was going to pick me up in Wilmington, Delaware, and I was going to be sworn in as president and vice president. Wow. You are unique in American history.
Hey, Paperboy. For 20 years, you've been telling us that Timmy from Lassie died of misadventure. Well, I finally looked it up. Not only wasn't it misadventure, he's not even dead. Jeez, and the name is nothing like Tommy Rettig. It's John Provost. Tommy Rettig's a totally different kid, you Lassie-mo. What's the matter? Show too recent for you?
I'm pretty sure Timmy Rettig is not coming down for breakfast. And he was the original Timmy. He's as dead as Gramps.
Cuomo's running New York like a POW camp. No wonder half the people have hit the exit ramp. Between him and the mayor, the state has no prayer. And these two morons keep tightening the clamp.
You know, I'm so old that I remember when the nickname of New York was the Empire State. They're not making empires like they used to, are they?
Not only is his name not Timmy, it's Tommy Rettig.
Tommy Rettig. But it was Timmy on the show, though, right? That's what I mean.
I suppose that's correct.
Yeah.
Died in 96.
Died in 96, yeah.
Will the last person to leave New York please turn off the lights and leave some weed for Bill de Blasio?
Did Trump call him a pot smoker today? Somebody called him a pot smoker today. I don't remember who it was. I mean, it's obvious. If you talk to any cops down in New York City, it's really a pain. I mean, you know, I know marijuana is not as illegal as it used to be, but still, you know, I mean, you're a cop. You're not supposed to be walking around in buildings where there's like a cloud of reefer smoke rising to the ceiling.
And actually, Tommy Rettig did not play Timmy. He played a character named Jeff.
Jeff, Timmy, whatever. Come on. It was a lousy show anyway. The only good Lassie movies were the ones with Peter Lawford in them.
Hey, Howie, you don't need a hook to get Joe Biden off stage. Just a handful of butterscotches.
No, but you need a hook to get Hunter Biden off the stage. Excuse me, a hooker to get the Hunter Biden off the stage.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
Wouldn't it have been great when Joe Biden asked that guy, Errol Barnett or whatever his name is, "Are you a junkie?" And he'd say, "No, sir, I'm not your son." That would have been perfect. But, you know, you never think about things that quickly because it's such an insult. Who would have ever believed he'd be called a junkie after asking him a legit question? All right, that's it for the Chump Line. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. Chump Line number, 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you can't get enough of the chumps, you can get another batch at 7 o'clock. Chop Chumps, the messages that didn't make it onto the broadcast air this afternoon. We post them wherever you get your Howie Carr podcast. Chopped Chumps. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, this week celebrating the return of professional sports, such as they are. Problem is, just when we thought it was safe to at least watch hockey, they ruined that for us. We think we're going back to our new favorite sport, downhill dirt track marble racing.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Joe. Went to the Ukraine with his kid to get some blow. Then when he made a fool of himself, that's all I got.
Again, dough. Dough, that's the only word you need.
It would have had to rhyme with self, not dough.
No, but he would have gotten something else. But he'd come back for the last line should have been dough. I'll think about it, see what I could do. All right, 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
There are many conversations at both the state and federal levels about gun control. People for and against background checks, waiting periods, and what you should and should not be allowed to purchase. Regardless of what happens, you have the right to bear arms. It's your constitutional right. And you also have the obligation to yourself, your family, and those around you to lock up your guns. Liberty Safe New Hampshire can help you pick the right safe for you. Visit LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. Be smart. Be responsible. Be safe. Liberty Safe. Recently, I had Global Marble and Granite install new gorgeous marble countertops in my home. Global Marble and Granite has the largest selection of marble, granite, and quartz on Cape Cod. They also serve Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and all of New England. People are spending more time in their homes, so now is the best time to upgrade your kitchen or baths. Your home is your biggest investment, and Global Marble and Granite is ready to increase the value. Visit their site and see my kitchen's before and after shots. Go to globalcapecod.com or call 508-771-1001.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player, and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who were part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Mr. Speaker, how many more? And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Was the U.S. right to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima?
Yes, it saved a lot of lives, American lives and Japanese lives.
Only 2% say it was the wrong move.
All right. 844-500-4242. Does Rhode Island still have VJ Day off? I don't think they do. I think they changed it to Bay Day, didn't they? Because it was just somehow it was seemed politically incorrect. It was the one state in the union that had VJ Day off. It was an August holiday. The hacks in Massachusetts have always been trolling for an August holiday. But now they finally got June 19th, though, Juneteenth. So I guess that replaces Bunker Hill Day. Although I think they still got most of the unions still got Bunker Hill Day off, I think. It was just like a floating holiday. So I guess this will be a floating holiday to Juneteenth. I have no problems with adding new state holidays on one condition. You have to decommission another one. No more state holidays for a total. Just if you want to make Juneteenth a holiday, then get rid of one of the other ones. That's all. I don't think I'd get too far in the Massachusetts legislature or Congress. All right, 844-500-4242. Let's play another cut from the hearing yesterday with Sally Yates, the former assistant or the former acting U.S. Attorney General, and Ted Cruz, and he's again asking her about the FISA warrant, the warrant to surveil Carter Page, et cetera, as a way to get after at the Trump campaign. Cut 20.
Ms. Yates, when did you first become aware that the Obama administration was surveilling the Donald Trump campaign?
The Obama administration was not surveilling the Donald Trump campaign.
That's a lie.
So a FISA application is not surveillance?
The FISA application was for Carter Page, who was a former member of the Trump campaign at that point.
So your testimony is that the investigation in Carter Page had nothing to do with the Donald Trump campaign?
No, I'm suggesting you asked me if we were surveilling the campaign.
You don't get it both ways. Is it the campaign or not?
Senator, I'm trying to give you what is the accurate information here.
Trying to give him Vaseline is what you're trying to give him.
Was a former member of the Trump campaign at the time that the FISA was initiated.
Ugh, what a loathsome hack she is. Did you hear that? He wasn't a member of the campaign. We just didn't like him because we wanted to get him with nothing to do. Just so absurd. And then, so Lindsey Graham asked about Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos is another guy. What did Donald Trump call him? A coffee boy? You know? I mean, Papadopoulos is not a bad guy, but he was not exactly high up in the campaign. And but they were surveilling him too. Cut 23.
When did you first become aware of the investigation and the surveillance on Carter Page?
When the FISA application was presented to me in October, I knew that the NSD lawyers were working on it for some period of time prior to that with the FBI, so it would have been in the October range.
I don't mean to interrupt, but wasn't Papadopoulos also being taped?
Ms. Yates, the chairman asked a good question.
My understanding, I was not aware at the time, but my understanding is that that there was a recorded conversation between Papadopoulos and a source, not wiretap surveillance.
No, but the government orchestrated this, right?
That's what I know now. Didn't know that at the time. Yes.
So we know that the government orchestrated a recording of conversations with Papadopoulos and got a warrant against Carter Page. That seems to me surveillance.
I would say so, yes. Remember, Papadopoulos was given $10,000, right? And so the FBI was waiting for him to arrive at Dulles Airport in Washington, and they were going to arrest him and charge him with conspiracy and bringing in currency that wasn't declared, et cetera, et cetera. And Papadopoulos, although he was a kid, he smelled a rat. So he dropped the money off, I think in either Israel or Greece. I can't remember where, but he dropped it off. So they get to he lands at Dulles Airport, and the feds drag him off the plane, and they want to arrest him. But guess what? There's no money. There's no currency. He's just an American citizen. What are they going to charge him with? Suspicion of being a Republican? Suspicion of being a deplorable? Open and gross bitter clinging. He did time in jail. I'm Howie Carr.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
AmeriClean Sanitizing is providing state-of-the-art sanitation for your home or business. Using the HaloSil fogging system, it is able to kill 428 different viruses, including COVID. Hospitals have been using the HaloSil fogging system for years, and now you can too. The fog sanitizes everything, including keyboards, under the desk, and even HVAC systems. To schedule an appointment or learn more, go to AmeriCleanSanitizing.com. Take a look at their videos at AmeriCleanSanitizing.com and see how easy it is to kill the virus.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We are in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second, control room? Is that not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Not Montana. I'm talking about never mind.
Yeah, no, Chester, I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. What would you eat for your last meal on Earth?
I'm fond of old favorites, childhood favorites. I'd go with my mother's beef and bean pie, followed by, for dessert, my grandmother's recipe for oatmeal cookies and a big glass of milk.
Where is your favorite place to vacation?
Home. I like being home. I like my house. I know where everything is. Yeah, I just like being home.
Favorite Frank Sinatra song to listen to?
It's called Without a Song, and it's on the album I Remember Tommy. It's a tribute to Tommy Dorsey, and it's a very swinging remake of the original orchestration.
Favorite Frank Sinatra song to sing?
My favorite one to sing is One for My Baby and One for the Road. It's a very sad song, but it's somebody coming to the realization that this is the way life is, and they've come to terms with it, and I think it's something that everybody can connect to. It's a great equalizer for everybody in the room.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We all have our favorite companies that we signed up for. They gave us a discount, and we sign up for the newsletters to get the discounts and all that kind of stuff. And so since all of the COVID-19 and then the riots, many of these companies have gone woke, and they have to inflict their new beliefs on all of us. Instead of just giving us a 10% off coupon, they send us messages about to virtue signal with us, and they don't seem to care or understand that they're terminally irritating huge percentages of their population. I unsubscribed to my alma mater, UNC. I couldn't take it anymore. But I don't have any bad companies particularly, but there are bad companies that really bother you. And today in the Wall Street Journal, Dave Simonera wrote a great column about this. When your favorite companies go woke. And again, I know Grace thinks about this all the time, and she complains. And I see it sometimes, like I said, in the colleges that send me stuff. But it's just, it really is true. So Dave Simonera is on the line with us now, and this is really a great a great column. Dave, thanks for coming on the show with us. Tell us how you got the idea for this column.
Howie, thanks so much for having me back on the show. It's an honor to be with you. I got the idea for the column just because I feel sick on a daily basis, as you just said. I mean, we're assaulted with this stuff, literally, this preachy, liberal, woke virtue signaling dogma. Right. On a daily basis, I see this stuff, not just from companies that I do business with, but for all of my favorite sports teams, too. I'm a huge sports fan, Howie, and I see this from all of my favorite sports teams. They're not just embracing Black Lives Matter, but just all kinds of crazy left-wing stuff. Like, just for example, I subscribe to the Tampa Bay Rays emails just because I bought tickets from them, right? About a week ago or so, I get an email from them with all kinds of supposed educational resources for me to supposedly learn more about their version of the world. And it actually had a reading list on there, Howie. And I click into this reading list, and of course it's filled with all kinds of left-wing nonsense, like white fragility, for example, books about like sort of transgender activists, feminists, everything all completely left-wing, nothing from Thomas Sowell, forget it, nothing from any sort of conservative. I'm thinking to myself, this is a baseball team. Does anyone
Dave,
really want book recommendations?
Dave, don't the Tampa Bay Devil Rays have enough trouble with attendance before sending out these kinds of missives?
Yeah. Well, see, they don't have to worry about attendance anymore, though, do they? Fans aren't allowed in the stadium. But it's a good point. But that's you said it in your intro, Howard. They don't care about offending us, do they? I mean, it's like I was thinking about this the other day. I was writing the column. And, as a conservative, I mean, you really have to seek out conservative viewpoints. I mean, liberals are never assaulted with our ideas, are they? We have to swallow, left-wing garbage on a daily basis everywhere, all over the culture, right? But you never just stumble across a conservative opinion. Even when you throw on a documentary on Netflix that could be about sports or something you think is not going to be political at all, bam, you get hit with it. You get hit with, oh, what do you know? It's some liberal stuff thrown in there. I mean, and it hits our kids, too. I mean, it's part of the education. It's in the video games that they have. I didn't write this in the column, but, for example, my kids play a lot of video games. And the other day, my son says to me, he's playing the soccer video game called FIFA 20, which is EA Sports, right? And he said, Dad, I won the game, and they gave me a Black Lives Matter T-shirt. Like, they give you some swag in the video game when you win games.
Oh, my
and
God.
They're actually giving my kids Black Lives Matter T-shirts on the video games that I buy for them. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you avoid this stuff?
Yeah, 7A1 says, personally, I'm sick of the woke commercials on TV. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother problem. But, Dave, there was a great case here in Boston. The Bruins are just coming back, right? So they have so it's the Boston Bruins. So their logo is a B, a giant B. So there was a guy from the South Shore, a local guy, plays on the Bruins, and so he put BPD. He went next to the B, PD, and it was really cool, and it was nice looking. And do you know what the Bruins? They were taking some pictures of the team as they were getting ready to come back to play again. Do you know what they did to his T-shirt?
No.
They photoshopped BPD off of the shirt.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Turtle Boy Sports, a local blogger, discovered it, and they first denied it, and then they finally had to admit it because it was so obvious. I mean, the guy is this is total wokeness,
It's the cultural. This is the cultural revolution that we're in, and I mean, some people are arguing, and I don't know if I disagree with them or not, but some people are saying this cultural revolution is the second pandemic. First we're hit with the coronavirus, and now this.
Yeah, I know. And tell us about some of the other things, like Airbnb. Yeah. That's one that Gracie,
Airbnb is absolutely nauseating. I mean, you wonder, are they running a vacation rental platform or a political party? I mean, honestly, these people hit you up with all kinds of liberal emails, and they had a reading list too. They sent me a reading list a few weeks ago. It's like I'm not smart enough to pick out my own books, right? I need my baseball team and the place where I rent a vacation rental to tell me what to read. I mean, they're part of this Facebook advertiser boycott, which I got into in the piece, Howie.
Yeah.
And this thing is just unbelievable. You've got like about 1,000 companies that want more censorship on Facebook, right? And I pointed out in the column, I looked this up. Facebook actually, they censored more than 9.6 million supposed hate speech posts in the last quarter were censored. But that's not enough, and that's double the amount of censorship that they did in the previous quarter, but that's not enough for these woke companies. And the problem is they want to enlarge the definition of hate speech to include like the kind of stuff that you and I believe in, like build a wall and enforce our immigration laws. That's hate speech as far as they're concerned.
Right.
And I find it nauseating, but what I find heartening is, though, Howie, is that this Facebook advertiser boycott, since this began, more than 1,000 companies have signed on. But you know what? Facebook just announced their quarterly earnings last week.
Yeah.
And they had a record-shattering quarter of more than $19 million. $19 billion with a B in revenue, and their stock price has skyrocketed since this occurred. So maybe they're not winning after all, although I'll tell you, I pointed this out in the column, Howie. When I went to college in the early 90s, conservatives were, corporate values were synonymous with Republican values, but now that's flip-flopped. And now we're part of the anti-establishment. So I tell kids, the young people listening, you want to be cool, you want to be countercultural, you want to be underground, you've got to be a conservative, because we're the ones who are being silenced. We're the ones who are being demonetized. We're the ones who are being boycotted, like Tucker Carlson and many other shows which you're a part of. So I think if you want to be counterculture and you want to be cool, now you've got to be a conservative, because liberals are the establishment.
You're right. I mean, 20 years ago, Wall Street was very liberal. They're the ones who financed the campaign of the fake Indian, Elizabeth Warren, up here. They gave her more money than any challenger for a Senate seat had ever had. But the people in corporate America, the Fortune 500 companies, you're right. They were somewhat conservative, or at least they were down the middle, neutral. Now they're just totally in. It's just easier, Dave Seminary, isn't it? I mean, people like us just turn the other cheek or hit the delete button. Right. Whereas we're not going to organize a mob.
Because we got better things to do. Generally, conservatives have better things to do than to be out, rabble-rousing and such and organizing boycotts. But could you imagine if any company, for example, embraced the March for Life, or let's say a pro-life, some sort of pro-life cause? Could you imagine how quickly the liberals would be organizing boycotts against them? And it would never happen. But I got a lot of feedback on this column, Howie. And one of the favorite emails I got was from a friend of mine I haven't spoken to in a while, Don Parrish. And he compared this whole us being forced to agree with Black Lives Matter now. He pointed out the Drew Brees situation. Remember, Drew Brees criticized those who kneeled during the national anthem.
The quarterback for the Saints.
Feedback. He got all this blowback that he basically recanted, and he compared it to the Inquisition. Galileo, during the Inquisition in 1633, he was forced to recant his theory that the Earth rotated around the sun, and he did so based upon threat of torture during the Inquisition in 1633. The Catholic Church forced him to repent, and that's what he compared this to the situation. We're all like Galileo right now. We're all being asked to pledge allegiance to Black Lives Matter and to pretend like this is a legitimate movement. And many of us are doing that because we don't want to be fired. We don't want to be ostracized. We don't want to be pariahs. But I think we've got to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah,
enough is enough.
Here's a text from 7A1. I couldn't wait for golf to come back, but on their first telecast, they had a moment of silence for George Floyd. I haven't watched a second since. I tell you, I didn't watch. Normally, I would have watched at least the beginning of the Red Sox season just to see what it's like with nobody in the stands, But I'm not gonna put up with that. I don't need that, I can get my blood pressure up in different ways,
But Howie, there have been some heartening moments. There have been a few athletes who have stood for our national anthem very bravely, I would say, too. I mean, this gentleman from the Orlando Magic, Jonathan Isaac, whom I'd never heard of before.
Me neither.
He's my favorite player. He's my favorite player in the NBA, and his jersey is selling. It's the number 2 selling jersry in the NBA right now.
But he's hurt. He got hurt, though. That's the thing. And all the and all the liberals, though, all the liberals were for once they believed in God and that they thought God had struck this guy down and ruined his ACL. That's how sick they are.
If this guy never plays another game in the NBA, I don't care. He's better than Michael Jordan as far as I'm concerned, because he stood up for our national anthem. And when I saw him stand up for our anthem, when every other person there was in a Black Lives Matter T-shirt kneeling, I got chills, Howie. I mean, I felt like this guy is my hero. I mean, he is a hero, and other people need to look up to someone like him and say, here's someone who's thinking for himself, and that's what we need to model ourselves out to. That's what I want my kids don't know, is that when you grow up, think for yourself. Don't put on a T-shirt just because everybody else is putting on a T-shirt. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Think for yourself.
Yeah, I saw Trader Joe's. They said a couple of weeks ago that they were going to get rid of Trader Jose's imported Mexican beer and all that stuff. And it was some kid had gotten like a few thousand signatures, which is nothing on the internet, and they had buckled, but now they wised up, they sobered up, and they said, guess what? Trader Jose's beer will continue to be sold. That's great too. That's these are small victories, but they mean a lot because they're so rare.
They mean a lot, but where we got to come to is it's the corporations, it's the sports teams, and it's in our schools. I mean, I'm from Buffalo, Howie. I grew up in Buffalo, and Buffalo has now adopted the 1619 curriculum in its public schools.
Oh, man.
The New York Times 1619 curriculum. I mean, how you've got to fight back against all of this stuff. We cannot be silent anymore.
Yeah, and the writer of that 1619, when she was a college student, she used to write the most racist, obnoxious stuff. I mean, she would if she were a white person writing that, she would have been canceled long since. But it barely makes a ripple on the internet. Dave Simonera, it's good to have you on the show. And if they ever want to do a follow up, you ought to check out that thing with the Boston Bruins did, photoshopping that guy's shirt to take off BPD.
And my condolences about Gunnar too. I read your piece on your website about Gunnar, and it was really beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thanks. Gunnar was a great dog. That's Dave Simonera. Check out his column; it's pretty good. I think it's one of these things that you know exactly what he's talking about, because everybody who is on the internet is getting these kinds of virtue signaling emails from corporate America. Everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds, and you already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands you know. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice, noise-isolating fit. Raycon's wireless earbuds are so comfortable, perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Unlike some of your other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are both stylish and discreet, with no dangling wires or stems. You know how lame people look when they're walking around and they got those wires just hanging down from their ears. You don't have that with Raycon.
How dare you!
I got some last spring. I liked them so much I gave some to Grace as a birthday present. Excuse me, and she liked them so much she gave them to her father as a Father's Day present. You're going to like them too, and I'll bet you'll be giving them away as gifts once you see how great the Raycon earbuds are. You've heard me talk about how the company was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like J.R. Smith are obsessed with Raycons. Now's the time to see what the hype is all about. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. buyraycon.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr will return after this brief commercial break.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Ken's Place in Scarborough, Maine. Stop by today and have one of my favorite world-famous batter-dipped fried clams. They are the best in the world. That's Ken's Place on Route 9 in Scarborough, Maine.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates.
Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
You got to check out that story on Turtle Boy Sports, though. That is just amazing. And they denied it, too. They got a picture of him with the BPD on a black T-shirt. And it looks really cool because it's got the B, the Bruins B, and then PD. It's pretty clear what it is. And then, a few days later, the picture reappears. Same picture. He's shooting the same jump shot, same shadows, same angle. The BPD is gone. And they denied it. They denied it at first. Now they've admitted it. 844-500-4242. I have some sad news to report. A queer indigenous professor at Arizona State University has died of COVID-19. Yes, a member of the Hopi tribe. Guess what, though?
Very fake news.
Turned out the queer indigenous ASU professor who was waiting for a Hopi talisman to cure her did not exist. It was all fake. And after she died, some other...
Howie, isn't that the real tragedy here? That they didn't exist to begin with?
Yes, because they couldn't exist in this cisgendered, heteronormative world in which we live and oppress queer indigenous ASU professors who are waiting for their Hopi talisman to save their lives, and then they died. But apparently some other faculty members were tweeting about the tragedy of her death and how they knew her and loved her and when she died. And Luke, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Luke. Yeah, Luke's gone. Rocky, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rocky.
Hey, Howie, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I want to throw something at you again. I was coloring little pictures with my granddaughter with Crayola crayons, and I don't know, I just thought of Joe Biden. So we got to start focusing in on the VP pick as opposed to making fun of that moron Biden, because as you know and I know, that's going to be far more detrimental to this country than him. They're just going to kick him to the side. He's the segue to get the left in, right?
Absolutely. But I think we have to make sport of him and make him into a laughingstock, don't we? That's the best way to defeat him. Most people who are going to vote for him, they just hate Trump, right? There's a certain 45% or so of the population that just can't stand Trump, and they're going to vote for anybody else. And when you ask them, why are you voting for Biden, or what does Biden bring to the table? And all they say is, he's not Trump. So you just got to make it clear to everybody you know, despite the fact that the the alphabet networks, the mainstream media is going to try to cover it up, that this guy is just not capable of doing it. I mean, this guy couldn't, pump gas into your car. I was going to say you wouldn't let him walk your dog, but that goes without saying. I mean, you wouldn't let this guy rake your leaves. I don't think. I wouldn't. He'd lose the rake. He'd forget where he put it. Thanks, Rocky. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
These days, a lot of companies are busier than a set of jumper cables at a West Virginia wedding trying to improve their brands. Brand names we've known and loved for years are vanishing before our very eyes. And while we can no longer visit the International House of Burgers, we can take comfort in knowing that the great Matthews Brothers brands won't change. That's because our wicked awesome windows and doors were named for real people. For example, our Walkett brand is named after the oldest founding brother of the company. Spencer Walkett Matthews began studying his craft at the age of 21. When he was 25 years old, he was joined by his brother Noah, then his brother Sanford, and founded the Matthews Brothers Company. Spencer Walkett was obsessed with quality, and he personally inspected every piece that left our factory those first crucial years. For 35 years, he stood at the helm of the company as we gained a reputation second to none for quality, consistency, and reliability. This is what Spencer Walkett Matthews stood for, and it's why we named our premier window line after him. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
Moms, what do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is... Your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II. I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's 1 minute of getting to know Jared Diglio. What would be your last meal on Earth?
Pizza. Cheese pizza. Just regular cheese pizza.
What drink are you going to have with your pizza?
I gotta go Coke. You gotta go Coke with pizza. It's the perfect combination.
Where's your favorite vacation spot?
I'm a staycation kind of guy. I like just staying in my place, but if I had to go to a destination, I love Italy, especially Rome.
If you could live in any state besides Massachusetts, which one would you choose?
Nevada. Wide open land, people leave you alone. Plus, it's not that far from Vegas or LA.
If you weren't in radio, what profession would you be in?
Gigolo.
Favorite comic book character?
Spider-Man. He's been my favorite since I was a kid. He's the most identifiable of the superheroes. He's just kind of a normal guy who's got a lot of problems, but he's got to overcome it and save the day.
Favorite Star Trek character?
I love TNG, but I gotta go with James T. Kirk.
Dogs or cats?
Neither.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women
in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You take a test where you're taking cocaine or not? What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? His campaign says it's launching the largest presidential TV ad buy ever.
Biden today revealing he won't travel to Milwaukee to accept the nomination.
Joe Biden will not travel to this month's Democratic National Convention.
The healthiest thing we can do is just ignore this and pretend it doesn't exist.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law.
I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Miss Yates, when did you first become aware that the Obama administration was surveilling the Donald Trump campaign?
The FISA application was for Carter Page, who was a former member of the Trump campaign. The Russians had made the overture that they wanted to be able to assist the Trump campaign.
Now, hold on, you said it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign.
I said that he was not a member of the Trump campaign.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show if you'd like to join us here this afternoon, every weekday afternoon. And so we have the VIPs are here, and they're enjoying themselves. And if you want to be a VIP, you can still seats are available. They're selling pretty fast, but there are scattered openings here and there. We do it 3 days a week, only 6 people. How's it? A good time? It's a good time, right? You just get to sit here, right? Yeah, everybody's having a good time. And the reduced capacity has made it more intimate. Everybody, nobody has to sit outside with Taylor or Grace.
What the hell's the matter
Jared.
with me? Why they would be privileged to sit back here with us.
Really, I've noticed not too many of them do they, Taylor? Now
Well,
that they
they've
can
got a better
sit
view in
inside. But you can sit outside. You can sit outside the studio with Taylor, or you can sit further back with Grace. And
It gets lonely
Jared.
behind the board sometimes.
Yeah, it's lonely at the top. I understand. All right, 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. 917 says, so I'm listening to you in Port St. Lucie via the stream and WBSM out of New Bedford, and in the break they go to the news, local and national. And the national provided by ABC, they played a soundbite of Trump saying Biden doesn't believe in God and so forth, in which the anchor responds, Biden is a practicing Catholic. And it said nothing about taking away your gun. The second time they play Trump is talking about Biden wants to double your taxes, and the anchor responds after the soundbite, Biden has said nothing about doubling taxes. No, he's just going to close all the loopholes. There was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal which laid it all out, and I didn't even bother to tell you about it or link to it because it seems so obvious. How can they say that he's not for doubling the taxes? He is for doubling taxes. And the thing about not believing in God, even the Fox News channel was going with that. Trump attacks Biden's faith. Well, he just said he doesn't believe in guns and God. I don't think that is that a statement that can't be defended. He doesn't really believe in God, does he? I mean, I like this. He's a practicing Catholic, but he supports late-term abortions. I mean, whether you're a devout Catholic or not, you have to agree that if you go against one of the church's most important tenets of faith, which is that all human life is sacred and life begins at conception, then he's not a good Catholic. I still remember the Ted Kennedy funeral, and all these Catholics, Democrats that support partial birth abortions are getting communion. How can they do that? And I say to again, I think most people who listen to me know that I'm really not a devout Catholic layman, but I'm not going up there to get communion and just spitting in the face of the religion. I mean, they don't care. They don't care. It's all just a game. 844-500-4242. Maybe we can get that cut of him talking about Taylor. It's not a big deal, but if it's around, what exactly he said, because that's what they're going to run with tonight. Because see, when Biden has the kind of day that he had earlier, talking about how the blacks all think alike, basically, that's what he said. Not to mention stumbling and mumbling and bumbling about every other damn thing. They always like to change the subject. So this is a way to change the subject, even though it's kind of pointless. They just need something else to talk about. Okay, so here's the cut that the guy down in Port St. Lucie was talking about, that they're ripping their hair out over tonight.
Things that nobody ever would ever think even possible, because he's following the radical left agenda. Take away your guns, destroy your Second Amendment, no religion, no anything, hurt the Bible, hurt God. He's against God, he's against guns, he's against energy, our kind of energy. I don't think he's going to do too well in Ohio.
He is against energy, too. He wants to shut down fracking. That's what's made us the number one producer of energy in the world. Again, they don't want endless interventions in endless wars in the Middle East. The best way to avoid getting into these wars is to be energy independent. I mean, if we don't need the Gulf, if we don't need Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, I mean, so what? And the other thing about it is they hate Russia so much. What is Russia? Somebody said recently it's an armed gas station, a heavily armed gas station. So if they're getting their gas from us, they're not going to be getting it from the heavily armed gas station in Europe. So it hurts Russia for us to be so energy independent and so productive, the most productive nation in the world when it comes to energy. And he wants to end that. He's promised to end that. Oh, that's another thing he's changed on. He said he was going to end fracking, and now he says, I never said that. Yeah, so he just keeps changing every day. He took the test, but he didn't take the test. He's for defunding the police. He's not for defunding the police. He wants to shut down fracking. He's not for shutting down fracking. Imagine if Trump was flip-flopping. Oh, no, excuse me, it's not flip-flopping. He has a nuanced approach. He's growing. He's evolving. 844-500-4242. 207 says, the Cardinal let Hillary take communion at Fat Teddy's funeral mass. She's not even a Catholic. She's a Methodist. I don't have anything against Methodists. Do you think she's a good Methodist? I don't think so. 844-500-4242. Nick, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Howie, do you remember the impeachment hearings? And when Schiff had his hearings, they brought in a couple of sharpshooter prosecutors,
right?
And went real time on these people, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why Graham doesn't do that, because Sally Yates is either incredibly stupid or she's a fraud. I'll go with both of those.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I take both?
I'm sorry. What? Howie?
No, I said I wanted to take both too, Nick. She's in this. That's the same law firm that Rosenstein is in and that Christopher Wray from the FBI used to be in. Talk about a sleazy place.
She was Comey's boss for 20 consecutive months, and she said she knew nothing of what was going on. Give me a break. She was his direct report. She was a deputy attorney general, and they did 36 unmaskings between election night and the fateful meeting there that Obama had at the end of January. And she's got to be kidding that there was no conspiracy. And she's defending Obama, and yet she didn't know what Comey's doing. What do you think about that, Howie?
Well, I mean, obviously she knew what was going on, and if she forgot all the stuff that she claimed she forgot at the hearing yesterday after Comey forgot 240 plus times when he was being questioned under oath in Congress, I think they better do some testing on that building. It must be something in the pipes there. It's worse than asbestos. It's destroying people's minds. All these people are going to turn into Joe Biden. They're not going to be able to remember anything. Thanks for the call, Nick. Al, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Al.
Hey, you got to give Joe Biden a break there. The reporter said that he was a practicing Catholic. Practicing means he hasn't got it right
yet. He sure hasn't gotten it right. It was Mike Pence who first said this thing. I think it's an old Midwestern expression. He said, about Donald Trump, he said, you can't fake good kids. And that's true. In my estimation, that's a really accurate description. You can fake a lot of stuff, but you can't fake good kids. And how'd Joe Biden's kids turn out? I thought that was a rhetorical question. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it, with a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. It's still not that easy to make an appointment with a physician at a medical clinic or a hospital. You don't have to worry about that with Get Roman, and you don't have to worry about going to a pharmacy to pick up your prescription. Deal with Roman. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor to take care of it. Go to getroman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. That's getroman.com/Howie. Getroman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
If you change the station, the Moonbats win. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. If you had to live in a state besides Massachusetts, which would you choose?
Montana. No question about it. When is the last time you've heard of anything happening in Montana? The answer is you haven't. It's quiet. Nobody's going to bother you in Montana.
If you weren't a radio guy, what profession would you be in?
My number one dream job is to be an antique dealer. You know, like the American Pickers. I would love that job. Going through people's old garbage and junk and trying to find that diamond in the rough, and you're always learning as you go. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's why I go antiquing on the weekends.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite TV show?
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason is the most hilarious person on television ever.
What is your favorite soda?
I'm not a big soda guy. It's got to be a special occasion for me to drink soda, but I'm partial to Dr. Pepper.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is brought to you by Genesis 950, sending warm thoughts to all the cars after Mr. Gooner's passing. Before you replace your carpets due to pet stains, try Genesis 950. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors from the carpet and padding. Order direct at genesis950.com. Put in code word Howie and get free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. That's a $10 savings. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Was the U.S. right to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
98% say yes.
The Enola Gay. And they carry some of the components were brought over by the to the South Pacific by the USS Indianapolis, and that was Joe McDonald was on the USS Indianapolis.
I thought it was Robert Shaw.
Well, he was there too, but Joe McDonald, the former hitman for Winter Hill, he was on the boat, and I think his brother was on the boat too, and they were in those shark-infested waters for several days. It was pretty horrific experience.
I would like to thank the 2 VIPs that came out to visit me during the break. It was nice to have some company.
Oh, they did? Oh,
yes,
okay.
They did.
So Taylor doesn't feel so bad now. He doesn't feel lonely. 844-500-4242, 603. Biden has promised to sue the Little Sisters of the Poor again. I didn't know that, but that sounds like something they would insist upon. If he's doing a basement tape with the right NARAL type group, and if you're going to sue the Little Sisters of the Poor, and he was part of the administration at the very least, he was part of the administration that tried to force the Little Sisters of the Poor to pay for abortions, including late-term abortions. So, how religious can he be? And when was the last time he went to Mass? When was was he one of those guys that was turned down for communion? That's good. It comes down on these priests though now.
And the second one is on dealing with firearms. It is irrational, with all due respect to the governor of Texas, irrational what they're doing. On the very day you see a mass shooting, I guess the numbers now, I was on a plane the last 2.5 hours, they got up to 5 killed, and we're talking about loosening access to have guns, be able to take them into places of worship, store them in school. I mean, it's just absolutely irrational.
It's just absolutely irrational. He's some guy who knows something about irrationality. 844-500-4242. Jim, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Howie, thank you. I was telling Tyler about
I wanted to comment on Biden with that you kind of mentioned it just now, about getting refused communion.
Yes.
When he went in and put on a show and the priest refused to give him communion. Me being a Catholic, would be complete devastation. That would I wouldn't know what to do. I would be I don't know. He's an excommunicant, you would call him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a serious Catholic, but I don't think it really mattered to him. Do you think he really cared? He didn't care. It's just it just was convenient for him to be a Roman Catholic, and I'm sure he considers himself a cultural Catholic, an Irish Catholic, and and he uses phrases like Mother of God, and and I'm sure he knows it's proper and fitting, and he knows how to make the sign of the cross. But you know what? All of us know how to do that, right? I mean, if you were raised in the right neighborhood, you know how to do that. It doesn't make you a devout person, and nobody, I don't think, who looks at that platform of his party can say he's a devout Catholic. I'm always surprised that someone like Obama or Hillary Clinton gets like 45 or 48% of the Catholic vote. I can't imagine it. Even if you're not a devout Catholic, even if you just sort of believe in Catholic traditions of freedom, and you understand what it's like to be oppressed for religion. I mean, these people, this is the same kind of oppression that Catholics faced back in the when they burned down the Ursuline convent in Charlestown, and they had the Know Nothings were taken over. The Know Nothings hated religion. They hated Catholics, and these people hate Catholics. Does anybody doubt that? I mean, they have a litmus test, the Democrats, for Supreme Court. Chuck Schumer said this. If you're anti-abortion, he's never going to vote for you. None of these Democrats are ever going to vote for anybody who's anti-abortion. That means they're not going to vote for anybody who is a practicing Catholic, or for that matter, a devout Orthodox Jew, or even for that matter, a Muslim who's serious, because Muslims aren't for abortion. No, what religion thinks that abortion is okay? But Joe Biden is he'll never appoint anyone to the Supreme Court who doesn't believe totally in abortion. 844-500-4242. Officer Mark says, will the Democrats' virtual convention also have virtual hookers? Yeah, there's another group that has been devastated by the panic. Sex workers, as they're called. I'm Howie Carr.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by Go, you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon.
We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
All right, it's crisp.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
We all shop online, and now you can do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. What is one thing about you that might surprise people?
This just came up the other day, and I had forgotten I had done it, so it was kind of a surprise to me. I'm in a zombie movie, and that came about through an old radio job. I was interviewing somebody. They were doing a casting call for extras. I gave them the idea of doing a zombie scene in our radio station, and I was attacked by zombies in my own radio studio. It's a corny movie, but it's supposed to be that way, and I think I did a great job.
Dogs or cats?
Cats. I've grown up with cats. We have a cat now. They're just easier to take care of. You can leave them throughout the whole day, and they're going to be just fine. In fact, they won't even care that you're gone. They'll be glad you're gone.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Used to be Burger King. They had better fries way back when, but now it's McDonald's.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What is your least favorite Frank Sinatra song to sing?
My Way in New York. I can't stand My Way. It's a very self-promoting song, and New York's very difficult to sing.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Let's play a couple of these Biden cuts again that they were just released today. They were recorded yesterday. He was addressing this group of black and Hispanic journalists, and it's ragtime. That's the only way to put it here. Here's the one about the fact that the difference between blacks and Hispanics. Cut 12.
By the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Whereas the black community is totally monolithic. They do whatever we tell them to do. And if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're not really black. You may be a junkie. You may be on cocaine. Oh, man. We're going to put a whole group of those cuts together tomorrow and just decide which of the ones are most racist. And cut 5.
This podcast. And so the practice is that the way he talks about the vaccine.
The pract. the practice, the way he talks about the vaccine. And then he gets really confused about a telephone and a video conference. Cut 3.
And I spent an hour and a half today on the telephone. I mean, on what we're doing right now on camera.
You know, like Richard Nixon always used to talk about the trains when he was in Whittier, California, to hear the train in the night and all that. Biden's another train guy. You know, he's used to ride that Amtrak up every night from D.C., and the gay waiter, talked to him about don't ask, don't tell. And today, he was talking about the train station again today. Cut 10.
What happened was I came back, had a good job, decided to leave and become a public defender. And I used to interview my clients down by the railroad station. And here I was 40 years ago, later to the month, standing on that same railroad station, waiting for a black man to come and pick me up to take me to Washington, D.C., to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States.
I didn't hear it till just then. Didn't he say he was standing under that same station? How did Barack find him when he was under the station?
Railroad station, waiting for a black man to come and pick me up to take, standing on that same railroad station.
Standing under that same railroad station. Okay. Cut 16 about being in his old Hunter Green vet. His Hunter.
The thing I like most is the setup right here, and you feel like you're in complete control. This is just boom.
Yeah, I like to go out there with my birds. I like to put the top down and bring the birds out and have them sitting in the shotgun seat, and then we get up going 70 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, and we drive under that train station, and I wait for the black guy to pick me up so I can be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States. But he's all there, folks. He's all there. Nothing wrong with Joe.
I like to drive. I used to think I was a pretty good driver.
Everyone raise your hand who wants to go for a ride with Joe Biden in the Hunter Green Corvette.
Would you rather go for a ride with Joe Biden or Hunter Biden? Each one is going to be a unique experience.
I don't think the insurance company is writing me a life policy for a trip with either one of those guys, actually. Phil, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Phil. There, Phil? Phil's gone. David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Howie, a couple of things. One thing about World War II, the Japanese were given 2 chances prior to the dropping of the atomic bomb to surrender, and they refused to surrender. They also had 5,000 human torpedoes ready to go at our ships. That's just a point of history. Also, Joe Biden, a good question from Joe. Are you going to shut down the Sisters of the Poor who are taking care of elderly COVID patients? Because that's what the Sisters of the Poor did. They took care of the elderly, and they were trying to shut them down. And the Obama administration is trying to shut them down. That's the type of people they are. We all saw what they did to Judge Kavanaugh and how he was tortured, basically, in front of the whole nation. His family was emotionally abused. We saw the horrific questions being asked, and not one of the Democrats stood up and spoke out that this is wrong. So,
no, I know.
Itself, Howard.
No, you're right. I mean, even Clarence Thomas was a very controversial pick for a number of reasons, but there were still, I think, 10 Democrats that crossed the aisle to vote for him for the Supreme Court because he was obviously qualified. But did any Democrats vote for Kavanaugh or for Gorsuch? I don't think so. They that would be the kiss of death to vote for a Republican nominee. I wish that Notre Dame law professor, I wish she could have, it's probably too late now in the first term anyway, but I hope I think her name is Amy something, Amy Barrett. And I hope she gets a chance to go up before him. And remember Dianne Feinstein saying the religion runs deep in you, like it was some kind of STD or something. I mean, she has 6 kids. Yeah, I think a couple of them are adopted though, right? Yeah, I think so. But she has 6 kids living in the house, and they hate her. They hate this woman, and they're not nice people. And you can't be a good Catholic or even believe in any of the tenets of the church and be in that gang, because that's what it is. They hate us. They hate people like us. They hate religious people. Their religion is power. I mean, the human being is hardwired to believe in something, right? It's part of our makeup, and generally speaking, the people who believe in God are going to do less harm to their fellow human beings than people who believe in power. It's just the way it is. And I think history proves that. And the fact that we're getting so far away from the tenets of our founding fathers, who were really devout. They weren't Catholics. They were devout Christians, though, and they set up a good government, and they had great skepticism about human nature. And if you believe that government can somehow forge a perfect man, and that Marxism is the way to go, which is what they seem to believe, then you're gonna end up hurting a lot of other people. If history is a guide, and history is the only guide we have. 844-500-4242. 603's got a great follow-up question for Joe. Tell us about those exceptions to the monolithic blacks. Because he did throw that in, didn't he? With a few exceptions. Joe, can you name a few of those exceptions? Those handful of blacks who don't think just like you do. If we can say you do think. Phil, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, sorry about that, Howie. Trump is he's so clever, either intentionally or unintentionally. He's bringing up about Joe Biden and God is opening up so much of Pandora's box for Joe, because now he's going to have to come and defend late-term abortion. He's going to have to come on the line to all the atheist leftists out there rioting in Oregon and Washington. He's going to have to come, and he's going to have to go on the line and say, I believe in God, when they're burning down churches and burning Bibles. I mean,
and how about the statues of that saint? Saint Junipero Serra, the one who started all the missions, the Spanish missions in California. They've taken down at least 2 of his statues in California. That's something I'd like to. You know what, Phil? I hadn't thought about that, but I'd like to see him have to defend that. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are dangerous times, and do you think it's how long it is before they're going to start physically coming after Christians, and you're not going to be able to speak freely, like say witness, or people who want to talk about God anywhere at school or work or anything. You think they're going to that's going to fly with a Biden administration with all these leftists?
No, they don't like religion. I mean, look, they've defaced several statues of the Virgin Mary here in Massachusetts. They did one again last week. So I think it was in Weymouth, right? Was it Weymouth that they defaced? And then there was one in Dorchester earlier. And it's not going to end well. That's all. And these people are really tempting fate here. And they don't know how angry people are going to get. I hope people will remember all this in November. Thanks for the call, Phil. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thank you, Howie. A couple of years ago, the House and the Senate were interviewing people to fill judgeships on the 9th District Court. A woman, which they denied forwarding her name and approving, they told her that because of her religious views, she was a devout Catholic, that they felt that would interfere with her functioning of the job. Dianne Feinstein told her, on review of a record, she questioned this radical Catholic group that she belonged to. And that happened to be the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, that wasn't a female. That was a male, because the males are the Knights of Columbus. But Yeah, I do remember that. That was a guy, I think, in Nebraska that they went after him because he was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and they said it was some kind of a radical Christian group. And as somebody pointed out, John F. Kennedy belonged to the Knights of Columbus. And now that I think about it, today the Democrat crazy Attorney General in New York is trying to go after the National Rifle Association. I believe that John F. Kennedy was also a member of the National Rifle Association. I mean, there are a lot of people that are members of the National Rifle Association, but now she wants this woman, Letitia James. This is the thing. You had this guy Schneiderman. He was the Attorney General in New York, and he was this horrible, horrible person. He would get drunk and abuse his girlfriends, and he called one of them his brown slave, and just a rotten, terrible person. So they caught him in Me Too, and they threw him out. And then you end up with this woman who's trying to destroy the Second Amendment, or proponents of the Second Amendment, the most powerful pro-Second Amendment group in the country, millions of members. She wants to wreck it. She doesn't care about Antifa. She doesn't care about the new Black Panther Party. She doesn't care about any of these radical environmental groups, but she wants to destroy the National Rifle Association. Thanks for the call, Arthur. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the maestro of microaggression. He's Howie Carr.
Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. AmeriClean Sanitizing is providing state-of-the-art sanitation for your home or business. Using the HaloSil fogging system, it is able to kill 428 different viruses, including COVID. Hospitals have been using the HaloSil fogging system for years, and now you can too. The fog sanitizes everything, including keyboards, under the desk, and even HVAC systems. To schedule an appointment or learn more, go to AmeriCleanSanitizing.com. Take a look at their videos at AmeriCleanSanitizing.com and see how easy it is to kill the virus.
I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I'm running for the United States Senate. The rule of law is important, but the pendulum has swung too far left. We need to return to common sense solutions. We need a government that trusts the people. We, the people. I've been a litigator my whole life, fighting for people and fighting for what's right. And if you elect me, I'll fight for you in Washington. On September 1st, vote for me for U.S. Senate. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I approve this message. Paid for by Kevin O'Connor for U.S. Senate.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Brace yourself, guys. Here's 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163. Was it 163 Republicans voted no? Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
This is Paul in North Andover, Mass.
This is Luana in Lexington, Massachusetts.
This is Lauren in Augusta, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. If you'd like to join us here, give us a call. And, again, you can be a VIP here. Go to howiecarrshow.com and click on, and right on the top you can see how to be a VIP. Spend 4 hours with in the studio with the show. Have some food. Get some books signed. Have your pictures taken. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun, right? Yeah, everybody's having a good time. We're just talking about the old days. There many. Back when Joe Biden could string together a complete sentence. Wasn't that long ago. Although it seems every day that goes by with another dozen or so sound cuts, it seems even further away than it used to. Woman arrested for defacing Black Lives Matter mural outside Trump Tower. The mural, it's BLM, right? So they can vandalize Fifth Avenue outside of Trump's tower. But if you try to vandalize their vandalizing, then you'll go to jail. Because when de Blasio handles the paintbrush or whatever he was using, the broom to paint, that's artwork. That's artwork. So this is now the second, but this time they arrested a white woman. Last weekend it was a couple of black women they arrested for defacing Black Lives Matter. 844-500-4242. Robert, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Robert.
Howie, just wanted to make you aware that Yahoo is now suppressing all comments on their news blog. Up until about a week ago, they're running their news blog. They've got all these hateful, false articles against President Trump, but the readers could post comments underneath the lying articles and also give the article a thumbs up, a thumbs down. And it's been running very strongly pro-Trump. The best example is they'll publish a thing that says Biden ahead by 500 points in the polls, and somebody will put in the comments, here's the real poll. If you're for Trump, thumbs up, Biden, thumbs down. And there's about 250 thumbs up and 1 or 2 for Biden.
Right.
And now what they've done, it's been so pro-Trump that they have suppressed all comments, and they claim they're running a survey to find out how they can establish a safe place.
Oh, boy.
A safe place. A safe place for people to make their comments.
Yeah, I have a Comcast email service, and so I go on there, and it's if Biden's ahead in the poll, in any poll, it doesn't matter how bogus the poll, Biden leading Trump by double digits. Okay, so I don't need to see it. So then the next day a poll comes out. New poll in Texas. I know what that means. That means Trump's ahead. Trump is never ahead in a headline poll. But if there's a headline for a new poll anywhere, it means that Trump is ahead, or it's neck and neck. I mean, it's really pathetic that I think it's over 65% of the people now in America get their news from social media. They don't even get it from TV. I mean, TV is a far also ran, and then comes newspapers and radio. But if you're getting your news from these sources like Robert was talking about, you're just you're not getting anything other than this jive, like Trump attacks Biden's religion. Trump says Biden is against the Second Amendment with no proof, makes charges without foundation. What about when Joe Biden says that Donald Trump told people they should swallow Lysol or swallow bleach? What is there a fact check ever run by
very fake news
by Snopes or by the Washington Post's Glenn Kessler or by any of the PolitiFact? None of them. No, absolutely not. We'll be back tomorrow, 844-500-4242. Which driver would you prefer, Joe Biden or Ted Kennedy? I'm walking home. I'm Howie Carr.
There's a lot to love about. There's a lot to love about you.
There's a lot to love about driving a brand new Subaru Ascent. From its standard symmetrical all-wheel drive to its 3 rows of seating. Love all the 2020 Ascent has to offer. Lease for only $299 per month for 36 months with $32.49 due at signing. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
Did you miss Howie's opening monologue today? Didn't catch that interview you were looking forward to? Well, tell me you didn't miss the chump line. Even if you did, not to worry. Howie's got your back. Subscribe to the Howie Carr Show podcast today, and you'll get New England's talk radio king on demand. That means you listen to Howie when it's convenient for you. Subscribe to the Howie Carr Show on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to rate and review. The captain thanks you.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian. The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Howie Carr here. Have you looked in the mirror lately? When you see your smile, what do you think? If you're like most people, you probably wish you had whiter teeth or teeth that weren't crooked. And then you think
Fixing those problems will take years and will cost you more than you can afford and will likely be painful. Well, I've got good news for you. You can have a perfect smile in as few as just 3 visits to Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Using state-of-the-art cosmetic dentistry, Dr. Houghton will work with you to design the smile you want. In as little as 4 weeks from your initial visit, you'll have perfectly straight teeth and they'll shine a vibrant white. And your new perfect smile could cost you less than $100 a week. See, you can afford it. No pain, no more annoying white strips, no extractions or braces. Just a perfect smile that will make you want to look in the mirror more often. I have a perfect smile from Dr. Houghton, and now the mailroom manager does too. Now it's your turn. Go to perfectsmiles.com for more information. That's perfectsmiles.com. Have you noticed your parents are becoming hard of hearing and keep saying, "What did you say?" Are you